Hello, how's it going? I hope you all are doing well. Oh man, I'm looking very dark here on my camera. Let me see if this will help. I don't know if it will or not, but anyway, how's it going, guys? I hope you are all well, and give me a +1 as usual if you can see me properly. You should see me on the left side of your screen, and on the right side, it should say how to succeed at YouTubing. Give me a +1 if you can see that properly, and if you can hear me properly, of course. So anyway, yeah. So great, fantastic. Today is the 20th of June, 2021. And there are all kinds of very controversial things going on in the world. And of course, I decided, contrarian that I am, that I was going to do something a little less controversial, a little almost milk toast. But I think that a lot of you guys might be actually interested in this topic because, after all, I've been a YouTuber for what, 4 years, 4.5 years. And it's been 3 years since I started getting big. And in all that time, I've gotten a lot of experience. And I figured that some of you might be pretty interested in it. Some of you might actually think that you can use this experience to succeed. And my saying is, more power to you. Anything I can do to help you out, I'm happy to do so because, I don't think that the pie is limited. I think that everybody can get a slice. And so the more the merrier, and also I'm realistic, insofar as my reach is concerned, my reach is minuscule. And so the people that I might tell any insights to, they're going to be very few people. And so it's not really going to crowd me out. It's not enough people to crowd me out. You see what I'm saying? So I'm perfectly fine. And it gives me a chance to think about the whole YouTubing experience, which I found very rewarding. And over the last 4 years, at different times, over different crises that I've had in my life, it's been very helpful. It's been a great way. It's been a great distraction because I always looked at YouTube as a hobby that I enjoyed very much. I like the technical aspects of making videos. I like the idea of having to think through and turn into words, concepts and ideas I've always had in my head. And so, yeah, I enjoy the interaction with my followers, my audience members and whatnot. It's been very rewarding. And I'm delighted by it, to tell you the truth. And yeah, it's really weird because there was a point in early 2018 where I thought I was going to give it up and move on to something else. And here I am, 18, 19, 20, and 3.5 years after that, and still going at it. So yeah, and feeling a great deal of I find it very rewarding, So yeah. And so because of it, and because of you guys are, for all intents and purposes, you're my hardcore fans. So I'm going to tell you all of the secrets that I've learned from YouTubing. They're not, a lot of them are going to be pretty obvious. A lot of them are kind of subtle and not talked about very much because they're like almost a cottage industry of people who tell you how to become successful YouTubers. And the weird thing is that so many of them are incredibly unsuccessful, I don't quite understand how they have the cojones to claim that they're going to teach you how to be successful. Well, that saying, those who can't do, teach. Well, something similar, yeah. But I would say that I'm a fairly successful YouTuber. And as I will explain, I am less successful than I could have been because of my own decisions and because of YouTube's decisions. And so I'm going to analyze all of that. And yeah, the whole shebang. I'm going to talk about revenue, how much money you can actually earn as a YouTuber. And yeah, I'm going to go through the whole rigmarole. Okay. So, okay, without further ado, let me get cracking. Let me just wipe my ugly mug because you guys don't need to see me. And here we go. Okay, how to succeed at YouTubing. Now, the first thing you have to understand is that YouTube is a monopoly for a particular kind of video distribution. There are a bunch of different kinds of video distribution platforms. There's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's Snapchat, and what have you. But of the long-form do-it-yourself video, YouTube is, for all intents and purposes, the monopoly. Yes, there are other small platforms like BitChute, like Odyssey, that depend most of all on peer-to-peer networks. Because you see, the problem with a video distribution platform is that you need to store all of that video information on servers. And that can get incredibly expensive very, very quickly. And so a monopolist like YouTube, once they get to a certain tipping point in terms of audience participation, they gobble up everything, because what happens is that it becomes a networking effect. People watch videos on YouTube because there are videos on YouTube, and therefore they put their videos on YouTube, and therefore there are more videos on YouTube. And that squeezes out all the other smaller venues. In fact, every single smaller platform has been destroyed by YouTube. Um, Not deliberately destroyed, or well, perhaps deliberately destroyed, but it wasn't that it was like Godzilla stalking through Cyberland, crushing, VidMe and all the other platforms that are gone. It's simply that the network effect was so great that YouTube gathered all of the viewers and all of the content creators, and because of that, all of the ad revenue. And so all the money is in YouTube, and all the other little platforms, they can only succeed if they go peer to peer, like BitChute, like Odyssey. For those of you who don't know, peer to peer is basically a system. The torrent, the notion is that a video, pieces of the video, are distributed into the computers of all the people using it. This is an oversimplification, but it'll do for this explanation. And that way, you don't need, as a company, you don't need to buy these expensive servers where you host billions of hours of content, as YouTube does. You can distribute all the content among the computers of your users. Now, that has a lot of advantages to it, but a lot of disadvantages to it as well. The advantage, of course, is cost cutting. The disadvantage, of course, is that it's not as reflexive or quick as YouTube is. And like I said, the networking effect is key. YouTube, there were a bunch of different video sharing platforms before, but YouTube was the one that got to that tipping point, that sweet spot, where all of a sudden all the content creators descended onto YouTube. And they pretty much relegated all the other platforms to a secondary or tertiary status. And it just grew. Okay. And that's why we have YouTube today. Okay. So to understand how to succeed at YouTube, you have to understand that YouTube is a numbers game. The more viewers, the more revenue. It's very simple, but in that very simple statement hides a whole host of things that you have to do in order to succeed. It is very difficult to succeed. It is not an easy road to hoe. And if you go into it thinking that, oh, you're going to be a big success overnight, you're a fool. I started out that way. Now, while I'm doing this presentation, I'll tell you my own journey in this whole YouTube thing. I got interested in YouTube way back in 2006. I actually did a couple of videos on YouTube that I posted. And I remember it was a big hassle because they could only be up to, I believe it was 40 megabytes. And because of that, I remember rendering one video and it was too big. And so I had to nip and tuck it and do some little, computer magic to make it smaller still. And finally, I was able to get it under that 40 megabyte hurdle and uploaded them. And of course, nobody saw them. I mean, nobody saw them, right? I think I got like 13 views. And, I did like 2 or 3 videos and I just got bored with it, and they were very pretentious videos. They weren't very good. It was more like an experiment. Okay. What I did was basically using a very simple editing software. I uploaded a bunch of digital pictures that I had, and I used the digital still pictures and narrated over it, like La Jetée, that great movie by Chris Marker. That was the basis of 12 Monkeys. I did something like that. And it wasn't particularly successful. I mean, on an artistic level. On an artistic level, it was not particularly successful. It was fairly pretentious. And on a terms of viewership, it was a complete disaster. Nobody saw it, okay? Because the problem with YouTube, as people say all the time, is that, something like every minute, 400 hours of video are being uploaded, or every hour, I don't know. It's something like some absurd number like that, right? And that's the issue. When you have so much content that is being uploaded, people don't pay attention to whatever new video is uploaded. It's too big of a platform. And so nobody pays attention to it. And so when you upload a video, if you don't have a way to get in touch with an audience of some sort, nobody's going to view your videos. And that's what happened to me with my early videos on this channel, on the CRP channel, or not this channel, this is the Patreon channel, but on CRP. I uploaded a bunch of different videos and nobody saw them. Nobody saw them, you know? Because of course the YouTube isn't going to show them to anybody because YouTube doesn't know what the fuck this content is. I was just putting these videos up there and nothing was happening, which was actually a really lucky thing for me. And I'll tell you in just a minute why. Okay, so what I have realized, okay, and this has been hard one, is that when you get to different levels, you have to apply different strategies to increase the number of your viewers. If you don't do different strategies, radically different strategies at these different stages, and I basically identified three, well, if you don't apply different strategies, you're going to go nowhere. Initially, you're going to go nowhere, and once you're a medium-sized channel or a large-sized channel, you're going to slowly decay and die. It's inevitable. All channels slowly decay and die unless the content creator makes a fairly radical change in direction of his content. That's the only way to survive. In YouTube, there is a period where a channel is growing. There is a period where the channel is maturing and reaching a plateau. There is a period where the channel has plateaued, and then there is a period when the channel begins to fade. Now that fade might be very, very long or very, very short. If it's short, it's usually because the content creator did something to alienate his own audience. If it's very long, which happens all the time, many times the content creator doesn't even realize it and sort of like goes down to the bottom of the ocean with his channel. He doesn't change it because things are not that bad and he has the sense that, oh, it'll turn around, it'll get better with the next video, and it never does. And the channel slowly dies like a star that's run out of fire. Very much like that. Okay, but anyway, there are three stages. There's the small channel that's 0 to 5,000 subscribers. There's the medium-sized channel, which is 5,000 to, excuse me. There's the, my mistake, 4 sizes. I fucked it up. 4 sizes, 0 to 5,000 subs. That's baby channel. Okay, 5,000 to 20,000 subscribers. That's small channel. And 20,000 to 500,000 channel. A subscriber channel. That's medium size, and 500,000 and up, that's a big channel. Okay, let's leave it at that to make it simple. Okay, those 4 phases: 0 to 5,000, 5,000 to 20,000, 20,000 to 500,000, 500,000 and up. Those are the 4 phases, and in each one, you need different things to succeed. Now, I'm going to go into the details of revenue. I have a whole slide just on revenue and revenue sources. But you have to understand, the more viewers you get, the more revenue. And that's the basic. And no matter how you earn revenue, it's ultimately about the number of viewers. The more viewers you get, the more revenue. Simple as that. Okay. So how do you succeed initially when you have 0 to 5,000 subs? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to post several videos, at least 12, in a reasonable period of time, less than 3 months. 12 videos over a 3-month period is roughly 1 video per week. Okay, that's the minimum that you should be posting initially until you've worked out your style and themes. Now, this is very important. See, in this initial phase, when you're just a baby channel, all you have to do is figure out what kind of videos you like to do. And you got to figure out the style of them and the themes of them. Okay, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what those videos are, but they have to be something that you like. And you really have to like it because you're going to be stuck doing this kind of fucking content for years if your videos start to hit. Okay, so you got to really figure out what you enjoy talking about or doing videos about. It doesn't matter how you do it. You could be on camera or just a disembodied voice. Hell, there's one of my favorite channels called Racer TV that he just writes scripts and has a robotic narrator read his scripts because he's from Portugal, I believe. And he feels that he has an ugly accent when he speaks in English. So he has this British-sounding computer voice narrate his videos. And they're great, and he's got a huge channel, okay? Or not a huge channel. It has a few 100,000 subscribers, but very, very large, okay? and he's very successful at it. Okay. So it doesn't matter what kind of video you have, whether you're on camera, you're off camera, or you have a robot narrating your fucking shit, right? It doesn't matter if it's animation, still images, none of that matters. All that matters is that you enjoy doing it. Okay. And that's stuff that you like. So in this initial phase, from 0 to 5,000 subs, don't worry about the numbers. Okay. Now, initially, when I started doing the videos, I kind of worried about the numbers, but then I didn't. I was thinking to myself, it doesn't really matter. I started in March of 2017, but I really started uploading, I think, in April. And I started uploading in April, and it was April, May, and into June, and nothing was happening. But during those 2.5 months that I was uploading fairly regularly, I was developing my style, my themes, the things that were interesting to me. Okay. You'd have to go and check up. Well, go ahead and check up on my CRP channel and go to the videos and reverse the order, because it shows the newest videos first, but flip it in the order and go and check out the first videos. The first videos, right? They were awkward. They weren't particularly good. And there was like a lot of effort on graphics and shit like that. I was trying out different things. And see, like I said before, I started looking at YouTube in 2006. And then I forgot about it for 10 years. I'd go on YouTube once in a while to see up some video that I'd seen or heard about or whatever, or somebody sent me a link or some shit like that. But I didn't really pay attention to YouTube. And it was only in 2016 where I'd finished up a very big deal in terms of work. I'd sold out a position and I was doing very well, but I had a lot of free time on my hands. I didn't know what to do with myself. I started getting into YouTube in a big way, and I lighted on Casey Neistat. I was really intrigued by his videos. I actually came to Casey Neistat by watching a YouTuber called Nerd Writer, who did a video on Casey Neistat and marveled at the apparent simplicity of Casey Neistat's editing, and said correctly that Casey Neistat's editing seems so casual and almost primitive, right? But it was in fact extremely sophisticated, and Nerd Writer is completely right. Casey Neistat is one of the best editors around. His editing is superb. And because of that, I got into Casey Neistat in a big way. I got addicted to his videos. I think everybody does, because they are like addictive. They're like popcorn, They make you chew and chew and chew, but, no calories practically. And so I gobbled up all of Casey Neistat's videos. And when I started, I did actually, in fact, do a couple of Casey Neistat-like videos that were not particularly successful because I felt so embarrassed to be walking around on the street with a camera. I felt so stupid when I was talking to the camera on the street, saying some line that I knew that I'd edit in later. It just didn't work for me. And what started working for me was when I started doing multiple cameras. That's when it started working. And if I recall correctly, though I could be wrong, but if I recall correctly, this was the initial period when I was doing videos and didn't have an audience. And that was very lucky for me because, see, none of my videos from that period went viral. Nobody saw them. Retrospectively, many people have seen them because, CRP became like a big channel. But, and those were the first videos when you do the reverse ordering of the videos, right? When you order them chronologically instead of reverse chronologically. But what happened was that the videos in and of themselves at that time were not successful. They didn't go viral, which is a good thing. Because I've noticed that a lot of video creators, when they do like their first or second video, and that video sort of like goes viral, they're kind of like stuck doing that video over and over and over again. And they might hate it. And they might not even realize what was successful about that video, what made it a viral sensation. And they try to repeat it and they fail. And they become very frustrated. They feel like they had the tiger by the tail. They had a viral video, a video that went, that got 1 million views or some shit like that. And they're like, I got to repeat this. And they can't because they don't know what was good about it, because it was just one of those initial videos that they did before they'd worked out their sensibility and their style and their interests. And that video hit and they don't know what to do. And there are some creators. I'm thinking of this girl. She slips my mind. I can see her face very clearly. She does like a lot of videos of her in the kitchen, and they're edited all funky and quick cutting, a lot like PewDiePie, right? Um, but with like a lot of in-camera zooms and stuff like. I mean, like editing zooms, right, and stuff like that. And she obviously hates doing her own videos, but they're a huge moneymaker for her. And that's sort of like the golden prison that I think a lot of viral YouTubers fall into, that they hit on some style and it's very successful and they have to repeat it over and over, but they kind of hate it. They hate the audience. They hate the style of the video. It's not interesting to them. They're stuck with it because it makes them a lot of money, because a lot of money can be made. A video that hits 1 million subscribers, 1 million views rather, a video that hits 1 million views can earn you between 2,000 and close to $10,000. No problem. Okay. And sometimes more. Okay. It can be a lot of money. And so, you're some, millennial college kid, whatever. You do some video and it goes viral. It hits 1 million views. And a couple of other videos that you did, because one video of yours went viral, you get a lot of subs, and some other videos that you had also do very, very well, make you a lot of money, right? So all of a sudden, 1 month, you're earning, I don't know, a few $100s from some shitty on-campus job or whatever the fuck, and all of a sudden, the next month, you're earning, say, 5,000, 10,000, perhaps $20,000, right? Depending on factors that I'll get into in just a little bit, just on the ad revenue. All that money, $10,000 from fucking videos, from the ad revenue. And so what the fuck you think you do? You say to yourself, fucking A, I'm going to do more of this shit. I mean, I got $10,000 from this fucking video. What if I do 2, 3, 4 of these fucking videos per month? I'll get like a car every month. Fucking A, I'm going to try to do that. And you do. You make every effort. And you start trying to repeat yourself. Repeat the thing that gave you that viral hit. And of course, what happens is that this was a video that you did and it hit big, but you weren't really paying attention. It wasn't like a big deal for you, but it hit big. And so you try to repeat it and you realize that you hate this kind of video. You hate the audience that likes this kind of video. You're kind of stuck. That happens all the fucking time. That's why I pray you never get a video that goes viral. Okay. Now, in this initial phase, when you're 0 to 5,000 subscribers, you want to get into a consistent groove. Consistent groove, what does that mean? Consistent uploading and quality consistency. That is, doing videos that you think are good, not somebody else. Oh, and by the way, I skipped an item from before. Don't copy other people because it's transparently obvious. Rather than trying to copy other people, try to copy the things of other people that you like. Okay? I mean, the specific element, and try to figure out what that specific element it is that you like of somebody else. See, in a couple of the videos that I tried to copy off of Casey Neistat, right? I wanted to do this conversational, very casual thing, and I wanted to show the city. I was living in London at the time. I wanted to show the city. I wanted to show the things I was doing. I remember I did one that I went out and bought a shower curtain. And that was the video of me going to get a shower curtain. But at the same time, I was talking about something else. So what I was really trying to do was do a Casey Neistat video plus a bunch of themes and ideas about guys, right? Because remember, when I started doing my channel, the whole point of it was to do videos that my kid would see when he's older, when he's a man. Because I figure, I'm an old father, and I figure that, I'd probably croak before my kid is old enough for me to teach him a lot of lessons that he should learn. And so that's why I started doing these videos. And so I copied Casey Neistat's video, and a video style, rather, and it was just too much. It was a lot of fucking work. I mean, a lot of goddamn work. And it wasn't particularly successful. Because what happened was that trying to put a kind of like a lessons video on a Casey Neistat video doesn't work at all. Casey Neistat's style works for him very well because he's not saying anything. His videos are not supposed to say anything. He's like the typical marketing creative. It's all flash. It gathers a lot of attention. It's very visually and interesting, and it sounds great. It's got a great beat, but there's nothing to it. Like I said before, it's popcorn. There's no nutritional value to it. Okay. And if you understand that it's popcorn, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not putting the guy down. I mean, good on him. He's very successful, but it is empty. And so me trying to make it carry a weight that it just couldn't, I kind of broke that video. I remember it very clearly watching it and stuff, and it just felt heavy. It didn't feel light like Casey Neistat's videos. See? And so it was a failure. But see, I learned. You don't copy other people. And during this period, you just try to do what works for you, and you get into a consistent groove. And once in your groove, once you have done, a dozen videos or more in a 3-month period, only then you try to get your videos known. Now, I did this by accident because, like I said, in April, May, and into June of 2017, I was doing my videos and nobody was watching them. And thank God, none of them went viral. And so I didn't have any attention, and I was getting frustrated because I was putting up these videos and I was getting into the style. And I thought that my videos were pretty fucking good, but I wasn't getting any attention. And it was really frustrating. And now, after the fact, long after the fact, I've realized that there are 3 ways to go in order to get attention when you are a nobody, when you have 0 subscribers or a minuscule number of subscribers. Because I did get a few. I had like 10 or something like that. I mean, an infinitesimal number of subscribers. And I would do videos talking about other video creators. I would do videos about what other video creators were talking about, or current affairs or shit like that. Just trying anything, throwing everything against the wall to see what would stick. But also, as I was doing that, I was realizing, what do I really like talking about? How do I really like doing my videos? And I was slowly figuring that out. It takes a while for you to come to your style. It's not something that you pop out of the womb and boom, you got a style. No, you got to work at it. You got to work at it. And what happens is that style emerges from 2 things. Number 1, things that you enjoy doing, and number 2, things that are convenient and or quick, that make the video quickly, that you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. See? I mean, like nowadays, like when I do a video, I know exactly what I'm going to do and how to cut it. And so the whole process of once I finish recording a video to having a video done, the only part that's time consuming is the rendering, of course. Okay, so let's assume that I'm starting with my clips uploaded. That's the start line, and the end line is when I hit the export button to render a video. Right? Well, it takes me less than an hour from the moment I have all the clips uploaded to my computer to the moment that I click the render button. Just 1 hour to edit it and watch the whole fucking thing. And I edit it, and I edit the sound too, because one of the things that you guys probably don't notice is that all of the sound clips are cut very, very carefully. And it's really funny because now I just glance at the waveform and I know exactly how to cut it. And it'll take me, just 15 seconds at most to edit a cut in the dialogue, in the recording, right? And when I started out, I'd be sweating it out for a good 5 to 10 minutes each cut, trying to figure out if this worked or that worked, and just experimenting on different things. Yeah, that's the natural progression. Okay, that's style. You just start doing some things a certain way that you like the end product, and you like while you're doing it, and that it seems to work for you, and you get done with the work quickly, but at the same time, work that you like the look of. That's style, and emerges naturally from each person, and emerges best of all when you don't have any attention. When nobody's paying attention to you, that's when your style really emerges. Okay? So anyway, once you're in that groove, once you have your style, once you've done like a bunch of videos and you're on your way, then you want to get yourself known. And there are 3 ways to do it. This is assuming you're a baby channel of 0 to 5,000 subscribers. You can advertise or pay for promotion on some platform. And on YouTube, you can do it. And you see that periodically. You'll be on YouTube and you'll hit some video, and then some random video by some other guy will pop up. It's usually fairly well produced. But it's clearly some YouTuber who paid a lot of money to advertise his channel. And so that's why his content is fairly well produced, because he's a guy who is probably into gear. He wants to make videos. He puts a lot of attention into the videos, a lot of care to the videos, into the sound and the image of the videos and the editing. And once he has this great product, he wants people to know about it. And he finds out that just putting your video out there, nobody's going to see it. And so he decides, fuck it. I spent, $3,000 on a camera and this great L series lens for the fucking thing. I might as well, spring a few $100 for advertising to get my message out there. Usually that doesn't work, ironically enough. Okay. I mean, it will get you some audience, but most of the time what happens when you do that, the audience will feel that you're some sort of corporate kind of too slick kind of guy, and they won't really want to follow you. They might like your content, but they're not really going to follow you, because when you advertise and pay to promote, it's not that advertising and paying to promote automatically, puts you in the black insofar as your audience. No, what happens is that guys who would pay money to advertise their baby channel, okay? I mean, I'm talking about independent creators, not corporations, right? Well, what'll happen with those guys is that they'll tend to be too slick. Tend to be too slick, and they'll feel corporate, but they won't have enough money to actually be corporate, as slick as a corporate video. Because part of the charm of YouTube is watching some video that is not that fucking slick. That's a little bit DIY, or a lot DIY. That's part of the charm of it. I mean, YouTube itself as a corporation doesn't realize this. That's why they prioritize people like CNN or Phil DeFranco or shit like that, instead of prioritizing the people who should, the guys who make it look kind of DIY, like PewDiePie. PewDiePie is a very, very successful YouTuber. He's the biggest independent YouTuber on the platform, but his videos look kind of DIY, kind of scruffy, and people like that. Okay, but YouTube as a corporation doesn't even realize that fucking thing. Anyway, when you advertise, what'll happen is that the guys who will advertise will more likely not be trying to make videos that mimic a corporate look, and that's why they'll fail. Okay, so that is the reason that most of those guys fail. If you have DIY content that looks truly DIY and pay to promote it, you might be very successful. Okay, I mean, like I said, it's not the issue that the guy that people are turned off by somebody advertising and paying to promote their videos. No, people are turned off by a certain faux corporate look. See, it's kind of like the uncanny valley. When you have a digital image that looks really photorealistic, no problem. And when you have something that's like cartoon-like, like Bugs Bunny or some shit like that, no problem. But when you have like Polar Express, when it's not quite there, when the eyes look weird and dead, that's when everybody's turned off. Exact same problem in baby channels that advertise. Their production value is not quite pro, but not quite amateur. It's in that uncanny valley that's creepy, and people don't like it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that happens. Now, the second way that is very common is to be endorsed by an established YouTuber. That automatically gets you a lot of attention. I mean, think about it. Say you've got 20 subscribers, and you've done like a dozen videos and no fucking attention whatsoever. And you've got 20 subscribers, and you happen somehow to become friends with a guy who's got 2,000 subscribers, which to me is just minuscule. I've had days where I've gotten that number of subscribers. I've had hours where I've gotten that number of subscribers. Okay, 2,000 subscribers is nothing. But to somebody who's got 20 subscribers, it's 100-fold. It's huge, right? So somehow you get to be friends with this guy, and he invites you on to some stream on his channel, or perhaps to do a collaboration on his channel. And because of it, you're going to get a bump. His audience of 2,000 people, say anywhere from 5 to 25% of his audience decides to check out your channel, and they subscribe to it. Okay, so you're going to get anywhere, and just to make the math easy, say between 5 and 25% of his audience decides to go and check out your channel, and of those who check out your channel, half of them decide to subscribe. And all of a sudden, you've got 2.5% of 2,000. How much is that? That's uh, how much is 2.5% of 2,000? 50 more guys. Between 50 and 500 new subscribers. Boom. Okay. I mean, even if it's only 50 on the low end of the curve, you only started out with 20 subscribers. So 50, man, you almost tripled, you almost quadrupled your fucking audience, right? I mean, that's fucking great. Congratulations. You're on your way. And so that's how an endorsement by an established YouTuber can help you. All he has to do is recommend your videos or have you on his channel on a live stream, or perhaps offer to host one of your videos on his channel. There were a number of YouTubers who did this for me, and they were very kind to me. There was not Braving Rowan. Aiden Paladin did this. I did a video for her. There was what was the name of this guy? Dan Atkinson, who got deplatformed. He was a Scottish guy and talked about politics in the UK and stuff like that. He got deplatformed. He didn't say anything bad, but YouTube being YouTube, it was all political, and it was clearly conservative, and that was enough. He got torpedoed. What's the name of this guy? The Iconoclast. The Iconoclast. I did a video called Qui Bono that appeared on his show, on his channel. He was very kind to me. Endorsed by established YouTubers. But the way I broke out first, okay, was that, see, when I started the YouTube channel, I knew that I wasn't going to get a lot of attention. And so my goal was, something? I'm just going to make my videos, make the ones for my kid. And by the way, I have like a whole bunch of videos that I made separately that I never aired that were done strictly for my kid. They're like family stuff, family history and personal stuff that I'm certainly not going to reveal on YouTube. I mean, and I don't even host them on YouTube. They're on a separate hard drive, and they're never going to see the light of day. But what you call it? Initially, I was unconcerned that I didn't have an audience. I was sort of like, my ego was kind of hurt because I thought the videos were pretty good, but it was no big deal. Do keep in mind that the videos that I aired, I viewed those videos as the experiments, and the videos I made for my kid, the personal ones rather, were the ones that really mattered to me initially in the early months of 2017. Okay. And so what happened was that, April, May rolled around of 2017 and no attention, no big deal. But then in June, I was like, this is not fair. I'm doing pretty good fucking videos, and I'm not getting any fucking attention. This is not fair. And I decided to do something retrospectively I think was pretty clever. I started putting up articles in the Red Pill forum on Reddit. I would post these missives that I put there, and at the end of these posts, I would put these links to my videos on YouTube. And the whole point of it was to get people to notice my channel. And that was retrospectively a really clever move. I mean, I'm sorry if I sound like an asshole, but it was a really smart move because, see, the barrier of entry into Reddit is very low. And see, one of the things I am good at is I'm a great writer. I mean, sorry to sound like an asshole about that, but that's an objective fact. I realize as I gotten older that I'm an exceptionally good writer. It's not that I write so pretty or highfalutin. What I am good at is grabbing people's attention on the written page. I write in a way that is oddly compelling. I don't quite know how I do it or why, but that's the case. And it's not important that I don't quite understand how I do it. What's important is that I do it. And when I wrote shit on Reddit, it got consistently upvoted, and people would share it around and stuff like that. And because of that, they started going to my channel. And that's how I started gaining some traction. And I remember very clearly, like in late May, June, I had, maybe 100 subscribers. By July 4th, I had 1,000 subscribers. And that's how it went. July 4th, that's when, I crossed that 1,000 subscriber mark. And that's when it started growing slowly, but steadily. And back at that time, the whole YouTube scene was much more in touch with one another. Everybody was in each other's streams. And also, I realized retrospectively what was going on was that everybody had Google Hangout. You didn't have to spend money to have this great platform where you could live stream. Just hit the button and you're live streaming. And you could invite people. You could invite people on very casually. Just send them a link and boom, they're in the room, in the stream with you, talking about whatever the fuck. And so everybody was in each other's pockets, right? Everybody was going on each other's streams, talking about all kinds of stuff. And inevitably, there was all kinds of drama. I mean, many of you will recall the whole Kraut drama and that whole shit show and all that crap, right? And I went down that rabbit hole, and that was pretty fucking funny. You know, it was basically junior high school shit. Okay. And it was, in a weird way, it was a chance for everybody who's a grown ass adult to behave like junior high school kids. And that's what happened. Anyway, if you want to get known, like I said, there are 3 ways to do it: advertising, paid promotion, be endorsed by an established YouTuber, or become known on a different platform and send that audience to your YouTube channel. I did it via Reddit. Guys like the Logan brothers, they did it from, what was it? They started with Vine, right? I think it was Vine. Well, a whole bunch of Vine people showed up to YouTube when Vine just basically went up the tubes, right? And, you know, TikTok is basically Vine. I don't quite understand why people don't seem to realize this. But anyway, you make a splash in a different platform and send your audience to your YouTube channel. And I did it on Reddit. And the thing that's key is that the Reddit communities that I targeted, they were relatively small. So if I put out a post during that day, I could be sure, I mean, if it was a fairly thoughtful post, I could be sure that nobody else would notice it. Nobody else would post something else that would overshadow it. And so if it was a fairly compelling bit of content on Reddit, I'd get a little jolt of followers on my YouTube channel, which happened consistently. And so June of 17, I was doing that on Reddit. I did it a few times. And I was in touch with some of the moderators there, just to sort of like assuage their ego, massaging them and making sure that they didn't delete my posts. Because all I cared about really when I was talking to these guys, I thought that they were a bunch of fucking meatheads, right? But my thinking was, okay, I have to put up with the asshole and just make sure that he, as a moderator, doesn't ban me or nuke my content. And that was my priority, because nuking the content, it was nuking the link to my YouTube channel. See, that's what I was concerned about. And so anyway, that's what I did for June of 17. And July of 17, like I said, July 4th, I had 1,000 subs. And it steadily rose from July 4th to, I do believe it was November of 2017, I got to 10,000 subscribers. And it was a slow and steady progression. And that's fairly normal, okay? That was me as a small channel, okay? And what was important was to be consistent. At that time, you know, with this audience that I was gaining, that was a little bit at a time every day, I was putting out a video a day. It was my full-time hobby. I was doing it like, you know, it was my full-time hobby, and I was enjoying it tremendously. It was the most fun that I had, of just putting out a video every day. It was the most challenging part. And I have to say that after the initial baby channel phase, the baby channel phase of having 0 subscribers or very few subscribers is incredibly demoralizing. That's the hardest part, because you're not getting any attention and you're putting out quality content, but simply the amount of content up there is just so large that you don't get any attention. You have to figure out a way to get attention in other ways. That's why so many guys decide to advertise. And that's why so many YouTubers suck up to these big YouTubers. And sometimes they suck up to such an extent that it's just fucking embarrassing, okay? And a lot of these YouTubers who are just professional suck-ups, they never amount to much. They never actually do anything. And there are certain YouTubers that you realize after the fact had grown quite a bit, but they themselves didn't produce good content. What happened was that they sucked up to a whole bunch of other YouTubers who all aimed their audience at that YouTuber, that suck up YouTuber. And that's how that suck up YouTuber got a big channel, but he himself does not produce quality content. And once he loses those relationships, he's going nowhere. I'm thinking specifically of a YouTuber that I used to be friends with. I'm not going to mention him because I don't want any kind of drama. But this YouTuber, he himself never produced any compelling content. You know, he never had a viral video, but he amassed an audience of a couple of 100,000 subscribers before eventually YouTube kicked him off the platform because of all kinds of idiocy that he was doing, right? But this guy, like I said, he amassed 200,000 odd subscribers, but he himself never created good content. He just had really good relationships with a lot of YouTubers who would point their audience at him. And then later, this YouTuber teamed up with another YouTuber who was a lot smarter. And the two of them had this call-in show, kind of like IBS show, and it did very well. But he blew up that relationship because the guy's a fucking idiot, okay? He just didn't know how to manage relationships long term. And so he would always blow up his relationships. So it's a shame because he could have been very successful, financially successful. I have no idea what he's doing now, but I don't think that he's doing particularly well. But be that as it may, the point here is that, see, getting endorsed by an established YouTuber can get you on your way. But ultimately, you got to be producing the content. Okay. Now, once you're a small channel, all you have to do is be consistent in your video uploading. Consistency in terms of time and consistency in terms of quality. What do I mean by consistency in terms of time? Release them on a consistent schedule. It doesn't matter what the schedule is. Just be consistent with it. Have a schedule and stick to it. I'll give you a specific example of two channels that I follow, that I've been following them for a long time. One since he was a baby channel, and the other since he was a smallish, medium-sized channel. Leo Goulden over at the Samson Boat Company, who's rebuilding the Tally-Ho wooden sailing ship, and Styx Hexenhammer 666, who does political and current affairs commentary. Now, hang on a second. Let me just check to make sure that you guys are following me. You guys still everything okay with the video? Hit me a +1. You know, I all of a sudden realize I've been talking and talking. I have no idea if you guys have been following this shit. Hit me with a +1 to make sure that the sound and video is okay. I'll wait for you guys to catch up. So anyway, as I was saying about Leo Goulden and Styx Hexenhammer. See, Leo puts out a video great. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. He puts out a video every 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 14 days. He puts out these very compelling videos, if you ask me, about how he's rebuilding this wooden ship. And I started following him very early on in the process. And I became a huge fan. I've donated quite a bit of money to the guy. And I'm not going to say how much, but it's a fairly decent amount. Because I so find what he's doing just incredible. I think that the guy's got balls of steel. You know, he's just a guy that I admire tremendously. He's a man's man. Okay. He is just off the charts. He's got bowling balls between his legs, man. I mean, as simple as that. The guy is just untouchable as far as I'm concerned. He releases videos every 2 weeks. And at this point, he's getting, consistently 500,000 views per video. No problem. No, not even breaking a sweat. Okay. He's got a huge fucking audience. Okay. Styx Hexenhammer, he puts out 3 to 4 videos every fucking day. And his videos are very simple. Him talking to the camera. And he's talking about whatever the fuck is going on in the news. These are two diametrically opposed ways to make videos. One is highly produced and very, once in a while, every fortnight. And the other is 4 per day. Very quick and dirty, zero production value. They're both extremely successful. They are both consistent. One is doing doing 1 video every 2 weeks. The other is doing 4 videos every day, but they're consistent. The quality is consistent. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Styx Hexenhammer's videos in terms of, how interesting they are. They're incredibly boring because he himself is not a particularly expressive guy, at least his face. Voice-wise, yes, he's very expressive in his voice. He's great to listen to, but in terms of visual quality, turn off the sound and he's boring as fuck. Okay, but that doesn't matter. See, It does not matter. And Leo Goulden, on the other hand, he's talking all about boats and shit and, hanging knees and all kinds of crap, right? And it's fascinating. So all you have to worry about is be consistent on your own terms, okay? Consistent in terms of quality, consistent in terms of scheduling. Stick's videos are badly produced in terms of visual interest, but his analysis is consistently good. You can disagree with him with his analysis, but it's thoughtful. It's thoughtful and well reasoned and well delivered. So, irrespective of what you think of what he's actually saying, it's a very, very good video, a consistent quality. Because on things that Sticks decided were important, he makes sure that it's good. And ditto with Leo Goulden. And the Samson Boat Company videos that he does for Tally Ho, everything that he thinks is important, he makes sure that it comes across. See, that's what you have to worry about. Okay. Now, the other thing you have to do when you're a smallish channel between 5 and 20,000 subscribers, you already kind of like hit your groove in terms of more or less your style, but you have to be constantly experimenting and keeping track of your experiments. What you want to be doing is finding that way to have a viral video. You want to be consciously thinking of how you make a viral video. Because the thing is, see, the dirty little secret is that viral videos are made. You make it. And you can do it deliberately. And there are certain YouTubers who've mastered that art, like Mr. Beast, for instance. I don't particularly care for his content, but undoubtedly that the videos that he makes, he has crafted the way to make viral videos. He hits the same bell every time, and he succeeds. And the reason he succeeds is that he experiments. You have to experiment, especially in this time when you're small. Between 5,000 and 20,000 subscribers, you experiment to figure out what works and what doesn't. What kind of like piques people's interest and what just dulls it. You got to experiment with the thumbnail. You got to experiment with the titles of your videos. You got to experiment in all kinds of ways. I myself was never that into it, into doing that kind of experimentation. I didn't care about it. Not really. And once I hit on my way of doing thumbnails where I have like this textured background with my specific lettering, chalk duster lettering, I just stuck to it because I like it. I like it. It's simple. I also like the fact that, when you see the thumbnail, you read the title and you know what it's about. Okay. And it's not clickbaity, or at least I don't try to make it clickbaity. Sometimes it might inadvertently be clickbaity, but it's not like I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to make a clickbaity video title. No, it just happens that way. But see, I'm deliberately going against the grain because I also figure to myself, if I try to copy everybody else on YouTube insofar as the thumbnails, then my thumbnails are going to get lost in the shuffle because they'll look like everybody else's. But if I have this weird, distinct look, people will be able to identify my videos instantly because they do have a very weird look to them, And you spot it a mile away instantly, okay? And the funny thing I've noticed is that people's eye tends to latch on to my weird thumbnails precisely because they are so out of step with everybody else's, okay? And I think that is like a big part of it, okay? So anyway, you constantly experiment and you keep track of your experiments and figure out what's work, and you are consciously trying to make a viral video. This is a conscious effort on your part to make a viral video. Now, how do you do that? You look at your comments and you figure out what your audience would like to hear about. I mean, just go through your audience on the comment section, and you're going to figure out what the way they're commenting or talking about something. Don't pay attention to those guys who say, hey, why don't you do a video about this? No, you don't worry about those guys because they have a desire, a specific desire that could be the desire of everybody else or of nobody else. I mean, you should look at those comments, right? And see how many upvotes they get. If they get like 100 upvotes, then yeah, that's something that your audience really cares about, right? But if it's got like, up to say a dozen upvotes, it doesn't necessarily mean shit, okay? But if you look at what people are interested in and what they're talking about, especially in the comments nested underneath the main comment, right? When you comment something and then somebody answers it and there's like a little conversational war of comments right below that, pay attention to those guys. and figure out what they're talking about, what they're interested in, what their outlook is. Is it similar to yours? It likely is similar to yours. And so you want to figure out, well, what would these guys like? Because really what you're figuring out is what you'd like. And eventually you're going to figure out something that you'd like and they'd like. And you hit that, you hit that bell and it'll ring. Okay. It'll ring like a son of a bitch. Okay. Another thing too that I didn't put here on the outline is if you're thinking about doing like a viral video, float some ideas with friends. One of my most successful videos is never date a damaged girl. Okay. Or how to spot a damaged girl, some shit like that. Right. It was one of my most famous videos, and I don't even remember the title, but that happens, by the way, because you remember very clearly the titles of other people's videos, but your own, you forget. I mean, you've done so many. I've done over 600 videos on my YouTube channel alone. And here on Patreon, I've done an additional 200 bits of content. And so, of course, you forget. And of course, you can wind up repeating yourself. It's happened to me, and you just have to ignore it. It happens, and it's nothing personal. You're not lazy. It's just a weird thing. And I can point to specifically on Patreon, last year in 2020, I did 2 videos on Darwinism within a couple of months of each other, or less than that, like 6 weeks of each other. And it was just the weirdest thing. And it wasn't like, it wasn't that I had run out of material. It was just weirdly that I did a video and I completely forgot about it, and then decided to do another video on Darwinism. And it was basically the same video done twice within a 6-week or 8-week period or something like that. And it was completely unintended. I didn't even realize it until long after the fact. And when I was doing that index of all my videos, that's when I noticed it. I was like, holy shit. And I watched both videos. And the weird thing is that you all who follow me, my super fans and shit, you didn't say anything. Nobody said fucking shit. Okay. I was kind of disappointed, but I'm teasing, of course, but it was a weird thing, and it happens. It happens, and you just ignore it. It's no big deal. But anyway, you want to make viral videos by appealing to your audience, because what will happen is that if you do a video that really appeals to your audience, they'll share it around. Okay. They'll share it around, and that's how it'll get picked up by the algorithm. And the algorithm will start showing it to people who are similar to the ones who are passing it around, similar in terms of age and demographic and income and all the other parameters that the YouTube algorithm has defined. And it'll show that video that you've made to people similar to the people who are in your audience already, but who are, of course, not in your audience. They're not subscribed to you yet. Show it to them, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I want to watch this video, and they'll click on it and subscribe, and that'll send the message to YouTube's algorithm, hey, this video, this kind of demographic really likes it, so let's show this demographic this video more often. And all of a sudden you got a viral hit. That's how it works. Okay. Now, like I said, if you're planning on doing a viral video, a smart thing is to talk to people you'd know. I mean, what you do is that you talk to people about various ideas. Don't bet the ranch on a single video, right? When I was, I pitched some videos to my friend, Dr. Benway. And one of the videos I pitched was the Damaged Girls video. And he listened to it and he said, oh yeah, that one sounds really interesting. I'd like to watch that. And that became a viral hit. Okay. Yeah. You go to your friends, your good friends, the guys that you shoot the shit with, that you talk about movies and books with, those kinds of guys, right? And you pitch them, that guy, the video ideas that you have. And those video ideas, he'll say, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that one sounds really interesting. And that's the one that'll probably hit. Because if it piques his interest, it'll pique the interest of other people who are watching. See? And that's how it works. And that's why a lot of times YouTubers who've got a team, a production team, and they are really honest, they can come up with a lot of ideas, and they pitch these ideas to each other. And they'll eventually single out specific ideas that really appeal to all of them in the production team. And those are the videos that usually go viral. Because, yeah, think about it. See? My own case, I decided, I don't quite know when I decided this, but I decided that I wasn't going to bother chasing after viral videos, that I was just going to do videos that I enjoyed. Because after all, for me, it's just a hobby. Okay. It's not like a big business. It's not like, my livelihood depends on this shit. It's just for fun. And so I figured, I don't want to do much work. And that's been my approach, by the way. I don't want to do much work. Simple as that. And so because of it, I haven't really tried to do viral videos. The viral videos that I've had, they've been happenstance. The first viral video I had hit in June of 2018. Okay. Now, do keep in mind, in 2017, I was doing my videos. July of 17, I got to 1,000 subscribers. I think it was November of 17, I got to 10,000 subscribers. And by June of 18, I was around 17,000 subscribers, something like that. And there'd been the whole CrowdCage shit and that whole explosion. And I was like, oh, fuck this. And it was very disappointing because a lot of the people that I thought that I could have been friends with, I realized they were all just a bunch of fucking assholes. The people I wound up being friends with, namely J.F. Gariepi, Dr. Benway, Braving Ruin, and Mauritian Struggle. Well, apart from Dr. Benway, the other three, they all faded from the scene. Mauritian Struggle has quietly exited stage left. I have no idea where he is. Braving Ruin consciously decided that he was going to leave the whole YouTube scene because he thought that this shit is just not good for him. He was fascinated by it, and yet at the same time, he felt it was toxic for him specifically, and so he left the whole scene. And J.F. Gariepi, JF decided to basically become like a hedgehog, just ignore everybody and do his little streams and not have anybody bother him. I'm in touch with him, but he doesn't really want to have any kind of contact with anybody. It's not that he's like upset with me or anything like that. He's just decided, it's not worth it. I'll just do my show. I enjoy doing it, and I'm not going to pay attention to anybody. Anyway, so that is the state I was in 18, in June of 18. And I was thinking of winding down the channel. I was thinking, maybe I'm going to give up this shit, because I'm not getting that much satisfaction out of it. This whole Kraut thing was it just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I'm sick of the whole fucking thing, right? And what happened was that in June of 18, I remember it very clearly. I was checking my phone and I checked the stats on my channel, and all of a sudden there was like all kinds of movement, all kinds of people were watching my videos. And I was like, what the fuck happened? And what had happened was that an old video of mine that I released in September of 17 called Never Date a Girl Over the Age of 25 had hit, and it hit huge. It hit like a son of a bitch, right? And then shortly thereafter, another video that I'd done earlier in 2018, the never mess with a damaged girl, that one hit huge. It was another huge spike in viewership. And then I did the video called Never Date a Single Mother. And that one was me deliberately saying, okay, this ought to be viral. And it fucking was. It was huge viral. That was August of 18. And, between early June and August of 18, in 3 months, I had 3 consecutive viral videos, and they were huge. They made over 1 million views each. They were just huge. They were just fucking huge. Okay. And what was interesting was that, like I said, Never Date a Girl Over the Age of 25 had been released in September of the prior year. That was 9 months before. And the Damaged Girl video had been released, I do believe, like 3 or 4 months before it went viral. And then the Never Date a Single Mother, that was done on the spot. And I put it out there and it blew up right away. Okay. And so I was in that channel, that groove of viral videos. And what happened was that after that, YouTube put the kibosh on me having any more viral videos. Because, of course, they didn't like the outlook that I had on it, misogyny and hate speech, all that shit, right? They were still monetizing my videos, right? But they were they put the first boot on my channel in September of 18. And I could feel it, I put out some other videos that I thought were going to go viral, and they didn't. They did okay, but they didn't go viral, okay? Because somebody hit the switch on the algorithm and decided not to show my content to a wide audience. I got more subscribers, but I wasn't shown to a wide audience. Had I been doing some other topic, some other subject, yeah, I would have gone viral. if I had done the same amount of content that I'd done for the CRP channel since 2018 till today, but not had this foot on my shoulder, I probably would have around 2 million subscribers, 2 to 3 million, without breaking a sweat. Okay. And because of it, I'd probably have like a secondary channel of live streams that would have broken the million subscriber mark as well. And in terms of views, I'd probably be making 10 million views a month, without breaking a sweat. And that would have represented, anywhere between $25,000 and $80,000 a month. Yeah. If I'd done a different kind of content, yeah, no question. No question. I mean, without breaking a sweat, okay, really, it would have been that big, But of course, it's the kind of content that I do, that's it. Because the audience for my content is there, but my content just doesn't get shown. And I know it, and I'll discuss it in just a minute when I get to the next slide. But anyway, yeah, so you're a small channel, 5 to 20,000 subscribers. Yeah, you're going to get a viral video. And that's what's going to kick you up to the next level. How to succeed when you're a medium-sized channel, 20,000 to 500,000 subscribers. Well, again, be consistent in the uploads, key. You've probably had at least one viral video, because the viral video is what kicks you over into the medium-sized area, okay? Because if you just do consistent content, but none of them really click with a big audience, you're always going to be under 20,000. You might slowly inch up to 50,000, right, subscribers, assuming that you're consistent and all the rest of it. But if you don't have a viral video, that is, if YouTube's algorithm doesn't figure out which audience would really respond to your video and shows your video to them, and all of a sudden all those people flock to your channel, then no, forget it. You're never going to break the 50,000 mark. And there are a lot of channels that I grew up with. I mean, I grew up, not me personally, but me as a channel, that started at the same time, and they never made it big. They didn't cross the 100,000 subscriber mark. They're still putting out content. And it's not because their content is controversial or this or that. No, they never had that viral video. They never had that video that wound up in front of everybody's screen. I mean, shit, there were some weeks in 2018, in the summer of 18, when, everybody was seeing my content. Everyone. I mean, it was like a big fucking deal, And so anyway, what happens is, to become a medium-sized channel between 20 and 500,000, you got to be consistent, and you have to have had at least one viral video. And because it's how a small channel gets to be a medium to big size channel. And once you have one viral video, other viral videos will follow, because people will go to your channel, check out your content, click on something that they like. Okay. And a lot of people lighting on your channel for the first time and going through your list of content, they'll pick the same videos because they'll like them because of the title. And YouTube will say, oh, those videos, we got to serve them to other potential subscribers. And all of a sudden, you got more viral hits. That's inevitable. Okay. It's like carts follow horses. That's how it works. Okay. Now, so during this period between 20,000 subscribers and 500,000 subscribers, you want to be aiming for consistency. Okay. Aiming to consistently make viral videos. And like I said, you plan it out. You be calculating to how to get those viral videos, right? You collaborate with other similar content creators, irrespective of whether they're bigger or smaller. A lot of people say, oh, I only collaborate with bigger channels. That's stupid. Because a lot of times you could be collaborating with somebody who's actually smaller than you, but their audience has never heard of you, because it happens, okay? And their audience has never heard of you, and because you did this collaboration with a smaller channel, all of a sudden you get a bump up of a few thousand subscribers. And that's what happened to me recently with the Fresh and Fit. I was on their podcast, and they're smaller than me, but all of a sudden, because I was on their show, I got 6,000-7,000 subscribers. Boom, just like that. It happens. That's how it happens. Okay. So you always collaborate with anybody. I mean, assuming that they're fairly large. I mean, not like a baby channel. A baby channel, you're doing them a favor. A baby channel is, like I said, between 0 and 5,000 subscribers. And you're a bigger channel that is between 20 and 500,000. You show up on a baby channel and you're doing them a favor. Okay. Now, you collaborate with people similar content creator. You got to understand the whole notion is churn. Okay. Churn, because you see, you get new viewers and your older viewers tend to peel away and forget about you. And that's natural. That's the name of the game. See, the viewers, I doubt if any of my early viewers are still watching my shit. Okay. Not because I've changed particularly, but just because they got bored of it and they moved on and they're on to other channels, other content creators. I'm sure that some of the people who were among the first 1,000 subscribers that I had are still subscribed to me, but they never click on my content. And they might do it occasionally, and they'll see it and like, oh, that's the same old shit, and then forget about me, and maybe even unsubscribe. Yeah, it happens. It's no big deal. It's the churn, the churn of viewers, the churn of subscribers. It's perfectly normal, and there's nothing wrong with it. The key metric that you have to be paying attention to is the number of subscribers versus the number of non-subscribers. Currently, my channel has 70% subscribed, less than 30% not subscribed. It's like 73 to 27. Those are catastrophic numbers, and that is the death knell for my channel. And that's because YouTube has deliberately decided not to show my content to anybody. Yeah, and I know the exact moment that happened. In 2017, the summer of 2018, rather, the summer of 18, I was blowing up. Just blowing up, and you know, all of 18 into 19, I was just growing by leaps and bounds. I quickly hit 100,000 subscribers and quickly kept on going up, closing in on 200,000 subscribers. I passed that very quickly. You know, I mean, all of 18 and early 19, I'm just chugging along, doing very, very well. And then in August of 2018, I remember it so clearly. I had this video that had just released that was clearly blowing up. It was going to be a viral video. I mean, it was just clearly, the numbers just blew up. Okay. And you always know it's a blow up when you release a video and the second hour's view are greater than the first hour's. That's when you know you hit pay dirt. That fucker is going to go to the fucking moon. Because what happens is that, you release a video and all your viewers hit it on the first hour. The guys who are real fans of yours, they watch it in the first hour and then slightly less in the second hour and then slightly less on the third and so forth. It's a gentle curve downward. Now, the curve can be abruptly down if the video is just not of interest, or perhaps it's a housekeeping video of some sort. You're announcing like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be on vacation or some shit like that, right? That kind of video, yeah, it decays really fast because people are not interested, and people look at the thumbnail and figure, oh, it's of no interest, right? But the ones where the curve decays very slowly, the slope is very low, that's when a video is going to do very well. Now, a video where the first hour does X and the second hour does greater than X before it start to slowly decay, oh, that's going to be a fucking monster of a video, right? I had such a video in August of 19, and like on the third, fourth hour of release, I was watching those numbers like a hawk because I was just thrilled because I was looking at that video and I forget which one it was, but I was thinking, oh man, this fucker is going to go to 1.5 million, no problem. And then all of a sudden, it was like a foot came down on the graph and the numbers just got squashed. I could see it in the metric that measures, views per minute. And then a few hours later, I could see it in the graph that, each bar is an hour. It was literally like a foot had stepped on the curve and squashed it. And that's when I knew that my time was up. Yeah, that my content was too controversial and that whoever was in charge in YouTube had decided to squash my channel. And after that, see, before that, I would get consistently about 60% not subscribed, 40% subscribed, which is fantastic. It means that your channel is acquiring more subscribers because your content is being shown to people who are not subscribers. To a lot of people, 60% of the viewers were at that time were not subscribed to my channel. So what does that mean? It means that YouTube was showing my content to unsubscribed people because the algorithm had figured out that when they saw my content, they'd watch it and probably get subscribed to it. See, that's how it works. That's the churn. But what happened after August of 19? Exactly exactly a year after my first blow up, right? That year from the summer of 18 to the summer of 19, that's when I really exploded. And then August of 19 stopped. I mean, stopped dead in its tracks. I remember very clearly I was in Holland at the time because I had to go to Holland. I wound up moving to Holland for almost a year, as many of you know, because I was working on a business deal there. So anyway, I'm there in Holland and I'm like, oh man, this is just no fucking fair, right? And my channel never had like a big hit after that. After August of 19, that was it. And in December of 19, they demonetized my channel. They just pulled the plug. No reason. They just, hateful content, boom, done. And it was very disappointing, but well, there's nothing to be done about it. And you can complain and bitch and moan and try to talk to this guy or that guy, but you're going to get absolutely nowhere. It's a waste of time, and you just got to realize that's it. That's it. That's it. And you had your run, and that's it. The only way that I could probably, get going again was to start a new channel, which is what I did. I did the Gonzalo Lira channel. But the Gonzalo Lira channel, I was always very uneasy about it. See, because I discovered that when I'm CRP, I can say whatever the fuck I want because I've got like the CRP, I don't give a fuck. But at Gonzalo Lira, I am more circumspect. The thing that I'll never forgive Kraut is that, when he doxed me, he wanted to destroy me, okay? And he failed miserably because he's a fucking idiot. He doesn't even know what my soft spots were. But the fact that he doxed me, right? It curtailed my ability to say whatever the fuck I wanted to. And that was one of the fun things about being CRP. I could say whatever the fuck I want, especially when I was a baby channel. Nobody was watching me. I could say whatever the fuck I want. And then in December of 19, when I got completely demonetized, at that time I was earning about $5,500 a month from the ad revenue from YouTube. And that's a pretty penny. That's $66,000 a year. Yeah, that's a lot of money. I mean, Jesus, for doing fucking videos on YouTube. And that's not including the earnings from Patreon, right? So it was very good money. And, YouTube cut that. And that was that, And the funny thing was that by them demonetizing me, do keep in mind that they keep a third of the earnings, right? And so basically they were, you could argue that they're depriving themselves of $33,000. Yeah. Because if I was getting roughly, 2/3 of the total pie, and I was earning a year 66,000, then obviously they were getting the other 30% is roughly $33,000 a year. And by demonetizing me rather, you could argue, oh, well, they're cutting their nose to spite their face. No. You see, they're going to make that money anyway. They're just going to distribute it among other YouTubers. So it doesn't matter. See, they're not losing a cent. I lost the money. See, but YouTube, they didn't lose a cent. Not 1 cent. See, so yeah, and that's the problem, of course. People don't seem to realize this when they say, "Oh, demonetize the channel." YouTube is hurting itself. No, they're not. See, because they're getting all the advertising revenue, and then they're distributing it among the channels, but they're getting the revenue anyway. See, it's just which channels get the money. And so, they'll give a few pennies more here and there to say like DIY channels or car channels or other channels that are non-controversial. Those guys might get a little bit of money, the money that would have gone to me. They would get a little bit more money, okay? And I'll be, shit out of luck. But YouTube doesn't lose money. See? So to them, demonetizing somebody was no big deal. It means absolutely nothing. See? So anyway, I got demonetized in December of 2019, rather. And so I immediately started off with a new channel, the GL channel. The GL channel I'd had around, for this and that, but I really just decided, okay, fuck it. I'm going to really push the GL channel. The other reason too that I wanted to do it is because whenever you Googled me, the first thing that appeared for Gonzalo Lira was not my books or shit like that. It was fucking Kiwi Farms. And I hadn't thought about this until I actually started developing the Gonzalo Lira channel. But once I developed the Gonzalo Lira channel, the first thing that appears on a Google search of me is the Gonzalo Lira channel. Okay. And some other old shit, like Wikipedia shit. By the way, I used to have a Wikipedia entry, but it was deleted because I was declared not newsworthy enough. I know who did it. It was a former business associate who hated my guts. And as a petty revenge, he got rid of my Wikipedia page. I didn't mind. I mean, some random guy in the Philippines had actually set it up. And it getting eliminated, it was kind of weird. It got eliminated in English, but the Spanish and Russian versions, which also I had nothing to do with, they remain. So it's just weird. But oh well, one of those weird things. But the point, how did I get onto Wikipedia? But yeah. When I created the Gonzalo Lira channel and really got behind it and did content, that became the number one Google search result. But I didn't feel I had the freedom that I had with CRP, and I felt I had to be careful because it was like my name. See, it's like typical. You're when you go to a cocktail party, you're all like polite and nice and kind and judicious in your speech. But when you go to a Halloween party and everybody's wearing a mask, you can be a wild man, right? I mean, this is from antiquity. And so, yeah, the same fucking thing happened to me. I had to be like the nice, polite guy. I had CRP on. I was the guy behind the mask. And I could say whatever the fuck I wanted to. Confident in the fact that nobody would ever know me, right? So anyway, because of the Gonzalo Lira channel, all of a sudden my Gonzalo Lira YouTube channel is the number one thing. But I didn't do any viral videos because I didn't quite really dare to do viral videos because they would have to be controversial. And if they were controversial, then I might get into trouble as Gonzalo Lira. And so that's why I was like sort of like leery of going whole hog. And that's why my channel was a medium-sized channel. The Gonzalo Lira channel was just a medium-sized channel, but not really, it wasn't really going to blow up. It had the numbers that it had, close to 50,000 subscribers because of the CRP channel, but it really wasn't ringing the bell of my audience. Yeah. So anyway, I'm this presentation, I know it's going overboard. I realize I've gone on an hour and a half, but I'm sort of like giving you like a whole brain dump of the whole YouTube thing so that you can see where I'm coming from. Because as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing there's like a lot of shit in this whole adventure. So you're just gonna have to bear with me. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to curtail a little bit of the Q&A at the end of it. But I want to get to all of this material and really just explain to you how it works. Okay. So anyway, you want to be, like I said, when you're in the medium size range, which both of my channels, the CRP and the GL channel are, but the GL channel never had a viral video. It's just big because of CRP channel, right? The CRP channel is the one that had viral videos. Well, you need viral videos. You need to aim to consistently make these viral videos. And you want to be collaborating with other similar content creators. And you want to be keeping your eye on the subscriber, non-subscriber number, because that tells you if YouTube is trying to kill your channel. Now, any channel that YouTube is not deliberately trying to kill, if they are consistent, they'll eventually get big. They'll eventually hit over 500,000 subscribers. And once you hit over 500,000 subscribers, not 1 million subscribers, 500,000. You hit over 500,000 and you're still monetized, i.e. YouTube isn't trying to kill you, and you're going to make a very decent living. But there are going to be problems. So let's talk about how to succeed when you're a large size channel, i.e. above 500,000 subscribers. Now, you're going to obviously point out, hey, CRP, you don't have a 500,000 subscriber channel. It's 270,000. Not even that yet. Okay. And you're absolutely right. But I've watched enough and seen enough to know to get the picture of what it's like to have a large size channel. And because I know these guys personally, a lot of guys who've got like big channels. I've talked to them in detail about a lot of the stuff. Okay. And there are certain things that are true. Number one, you got to be consistent quality and schedule. You got to be, consistency. And I've said it in videos on my free channel, I think, that consistency is key. Absolutely goddamn right. You're consistent, you're going to get ahead. The guy who is just consistently putting one foot in front of the other as he climbs Mount Everest, doesn't matter how fast he does it or how slow he does it. If he's just consistent, he will eventually get to the top. That's inevitable. And that's the same with YouTube. If YouTube's algorithm does not want to kill you, if you keep on getting monetized and you're keeping up your content in terms of quality and consistency, you will eventually get to be huge. Inevitably. Okay? There's one caveat. You have to have a consistent content direction, but you got to change your numbers when your numbers, you got to change directions rather, when your numbers begin to sag or plateau. Now, this is kind of like a key issue. See, a lot of creators, they come to a style, come to an approach, come to certain themes and topics and whatnot, and they hit it. They hit it and hit it and hit it, and they keep on growing up, 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 up. No stopping them, right? But then what starts to happen is that they start to plateau. They start to, their numbers sort of like, they don't get noticeably bigger. What's happened is that their channel has saturated their demographic. The people who are going to be interested in their material, they know about him. There isn't going to be any more. That's it. They plateaued. And what will happen is that, of course, if you have saturated your demographic, if everyone in the demographic you've chosen likes your stuff and has seen your stuff, eventually they're going to leave you. It's inevitable. See, that's the whole issue of churn. You got new viewers coming in, constantly coming in, but you also have viewers coming out. But when there are no more viewers to bring in, because all the viewers, the entire demographic that you appeal to already is aware of you, then all you can do is just lose viewers, lose subscribers. And it's like a curve. You are growing and growing and growing, and you reach a plateau, and the curve stops its positive incline. And then very slowly, and sometimes, most of the times, it's imperceptibly, your slope becomes negative and starts to slowly decay. Now, when you realize this, what you got to do is change directions. You got to radically change directions, okay? But not so radically that you lose your audience. And this is the key issue. The successful YouTubers like Shane Dawson, before the whole blow up recently, right? Shane Dawson, irrespective of what you think of the guy, I think he's a fucking pervert, okay? But that doesn't prevent me from studying his career as a YouTuber, and he's very successful at it. And what he did was that he would periodically change up. And sometimes it would seem to be radically changing up. Seem, that's the key word, because the style and format and themes of his content changed radically, but it changed into a new thing that appealed immensely to his old audience. Okay? And that was a key issue. And so because of that, he would change periodically every few years, and he wouldn't really lose his audience. His audience would follow him along to the next iteration of who he was, okay, or of his content. I don't know if he himself changed as a man or it was just the content. It doesn't really matter. Let's assume it's just the content. He would change his content and his audience would follow, because the change, the thing that he had become appealed to a great big swath of his old audience. So long as you can hold on to at least 50% of your old audience, and they'll follow you in this new direction, it'll be a shot in the arm. Because what will happen is that a lot of that, say for instance, I have 270,000 subscribers, and say for the sake of argument that I change in a radically different direction, but not so radically that I alienate my audience. Suppose, just for the sake of argument, that I start doing a different kind of video that's more high impact, high energy, and in different settings, but still talking about guy stuff and shit, right? What'll happen? Well, I have 270,000 subscribers, but a lot of them, I would venture to argue maybe 2/3 of it. It's sort of like don't pay attention to me anymore. Okay, because they know more or less what to expect. But suppose, and so 2/3 of that audience of 270,000, that's 180,000 subscribers who don't really pay attention to me, which is borne out by the numbers. Okay, the recent spurt of videos that I put out on my free channel, roughly, the high end I've gotten like 126,000 views, and the lower end of the average video I've gotten like 36,000 views. So yeah, roughly 90,000 people still kind of like pay attention to me of my 270,000 subscribers. But suppose that I change in a radical direction, change thumbnails, change everything. Roughly half of my audience, 130, suppose they unsubscribe. They just flat out unsubscribe. Just imagine. But the other 130, they actually start watching this new content and they dig it. And what'll happen? Well, my numbers are going to spike, my view numbers. Because, of course, if I have a radical change in direction that only half of my audience really likes, the other half, they're not going to unsubscribe. A few will, but it'll be surprisingly few because people don't bother unsubscribing. They just ignore the video. They just ignore the thumbnail and move on with their feed. And so the people who don't like the new content or don't care about it or are indifferent to it, they're not going to do anything really. But it's the other one that gets that notice that I've changed. They're going to get turbocharged. They're going to be like, oh, he's gone a totally different direction and I like this direction. And so all of a sudden my videos are going to get consistently over 100,000 views. And as my videos get consistently over 100,000 views, YouTube, the algorithm is, even in my straightened circumstances now where I'm in the YouTube doghouse, even though automatically they're still going to show my content to more people who haven't subscribed. And what will happen is that all of a sudden, I'll get a surge of new subscribers. I'll get easily 25% of that energized 50%, i.e. a bump of 12.5% over my current audience numbers. That would be roughly 30,000, 33,000, 36,000 new subscribers. I'll cross the 300,000 subscriber mark, and I'll keep on growing. See? It'll be like this bump if I change the direction of my content, but not so much that it alienates my audience. Okay. And that's how large channels continue to survive. They change directions periodically, not like every month or every 6 months even. No, it's every couple of years. Okay. I mean, like with the CRP channel, let's face facts, I should have changed up probably last year. Okay. No, yeah, 2020. I didn't bother because, I'm not monetized anymore. And now that I'm like releasing content steadily on the CRP channel, it's such a relief because I can say whatever the fuck I want. And there are no repercussions. Why would there be? Yeah, I'm demonetized already. And so long as I don't make any incitement to violence, okay, or targeted harassment, I'm golden. I can say whatever the fuck I want. And so paradoxically, it's given me enormous freedom. And that's something I'm really enjoying. And that's why I've been producing a lot of content on my free CRP channel. Because even though on the Patreon channel, I can say whatever the fuck I want, it's not quite the same because it's a smaller audience, okay? And it's an audience that frankly is more thoughtful than the audience on YouTube, which is, of course, it makes complete sense. The people who are subscribed on Patreon are a lot more interested in my content. And they're interested in me being the thoughtful me, not the grenade throwing me, okay? And so, yeah, I mean, I did a video called, American Women Are Garbage. That's that, man. That's a tossing a grenade, right? Yeah, and it was fun and all that, I mean, but it was an inconsequential video. There are other videos I have done on Patreon. For instance, the video I did on time, the one that I put out a little while ago, that was much more important, right? And I wouldn't have put it out on the CRP channel because it would have been just, first of all, it would have been putting public something that I don't really want to be out in the public or generally known, And on the other hand, all kinds of assholes would have commented on it. And I was not up for that, And that's the other thing that you guys have to understand about my Patreon content. A lot of times I put videos on Patreon because I'm interested in a more thoughtful appreciation of the content. And if I put it on YouTube, I'll get every fucking retard saying every kind of idiocy imaginable. Okay. Something thoughtful that I put out, something intelligent, something insightful, but that's subtle and that's important. You guys would appreciate it, but the fucking plebes on YouTube will fucking shit all over it, and that's depressing to me. You see. So anyway, I'm going all over the fucking place on this fucking video, on this fucking webinar. You're gonna have to forgive me, but I hope you're enjoying it. Give me a +1 if you're fucking enjoying it so far. Okay. So anyway, what I was saying, yeah, if you like it, give me a +1. If you think that I'm like all over the fucking place, hit 0. Yeah, let's do that, like an instant poll. Okay, so you're at 500,000 subs or more. You're a large size channel, and thanks, Michael. And this is how you survive. Now you got to keep in mind that YouTube ads, that's a lot of fucking money. Okay. And here we come to the money issue. Thanks, guys. I'm seeing you now. OM, Cabus, Punk, Bill, Hugo. Thanks. Oh, Hugo is half plus half. Okay, well, I'll try to get back more on point. I think that's the thing. Yeah, and Watcher Matrone gave me a 0. Yeah, thanks for Watcher. But that's fucking Russell, man. I know who that is. I know where you live. I'm gonna tell your mom. Anyway, I was kidding, of course. As I was saying about this, the reason that big channels and even medium-sized channels collapse is that they antagonize their audience, and this happens it's a surprisingly common occurrence. It's for some reasons I don't quite understand it, but some content creators wind up antagonizing their audience, but just to the point where the audience fucking hates their guts and really just abandons the channel. Yeah, a few diehard fans remain, sure, but dude, it's like a cataclysmic, right? And I have never quite understood it because I put out videos a few times where I thought to myself, oh, my audience isn't going to dig this shit. And it's been true, but they haven't abandoned me. Okay. And I think what it is that an audience understands that sometimes you have different opinions from the majority of them. But if you go against the baseline assumptions that they have made of you and you reveal yourself to be completely different, oof, they hate your guts. Like, for instance, people know that I hate Donald Trump, right? But they realize it's not that I hate Donald Trump because I'm a liberal. No, I'm way to the right of Donald Trump. And I think he's a fucking buffoon and a chicken shit coward, or was when he was president, right? And so my audience has forgiven me because they're realizing, no, he's not a liberal. No, he's more to the right of Donald than to the left. That's what's going on. And so they forgive me. Okay. They might not like it, right? But they're not going to like curse my name or some shit like that. Or more to the point, they're not going to abandon me. I mean, suppose, just for the sake of argument, of course, that I had said, oh, yeah, I hate Donald Trump because, he's an evil Russian agent and shit like that. And he's like this evil conservative fascist bigot, right? You all would have abandoned me. Everybody on my channel would have abandoned me. Okay. Because I would have been violating a base assumption that everybody has, because everybody assumes that I'm conservative, which I am. My critique of Donald Trump, which I've said repeatedly, is that he was a fucking used car salesman and he didn't have the balls to do what he should have done, which is really drain the swamp and clear out all this entrenched bureaucracy. And so my opinion of not liking Trump, people are like, he doesn't like Trump. And then they get closer and like, oh, okay. Well, but you should love Trump, but okay. See? Yeah, because I'm not violating the basic assumptions that people have of me. I'm, in fact, doubling down. Okay. People think, oh yeah, CRP, Gonzalo Lira, he's a right-wing guy. And then they hear my opinion on Trump and they're like, oh no, he's not a right-wing guy. He's a really right-wing guy. And, I'm not violating a basic assumption. Now, this is what happens with guys who go viral in their first few videos. See, their audience, and many of them, the smarter ones, recognize this. Their audience has assumptions about who they are, which are not accurate. They assume that, suppose, just for the sake of argument, that I'd done a video like never date a single mother, right? And people would have, and suppose that would have been like my first or second video and it got viral and 1 million views and all that shit, right? Then people would have been like, oh, he's right wing. He's, he's pro men, right? But then, if I'd said something really soy boyish, I don't fucking know, like, it's okay if your woman cucks you, she has to find sexual satisfaction and it's okay. Everybody would have been like, what the fuck, right? And see, that's what happens with a lot of guys who've had a viral video. They put out a video and their audience internalizes some assumptions about the content creator that are not accurate. And the content creator realizes this. So he's sort of like stuck in this position of like, shit, I've got to play up to my audience's expectations, but they're not true. I don't really believe that, but I have to say it or else I'll lose my audience. You see what happens? This is what happens when somebody has a viral video on his second video or something like that, which happens. It happens all the time. Some guy, some content creator puts up like 3-4 videos and he's about to give it up. And he puts up that 5th video and it hits like a motherfucker. It hits like a fucking neutron bomb. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden he's like making all this bank and he has to make the same fucking video, but he doesn't believe it. And he realizes that his audience believes something about him that is not true. And then this internal tension arises. The guy is never at peace because the content he's making, he doesn't believe it. He's just fulfilling people's expectations. And eventually that guy is going to say something or do something that will completely violate the basic assumptions of his audience, and the audience will turn on him because they'll realize that they were in love with a phantom. They liked a guy who was not who they thought he was. He was completely different. You see? I mean, yeah, come on, man. If I were to do a video saying that, oh yeah, it's okay to share your girlfriend with with Tyrone or Chad or whatever, my audience would leave me right away. Of course, I'd never say such a thing. But I mean, imagine if I actually believed it. But I'd straitjacketed myself with these videos that, never date a single mother and shit like that. Yeah, you see the contradiction. This happens all the fucking time. And some content creators go for so long in their career until finally it just pops up. It just pops and everybody realizes, hey, he's totally different from what we thought. And they just turn on him. And the channel dies. It dies a nasty fucking death. Like what happened with Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson is a fucking pedophile. And he was hiding it for a long fucking time. A pedophile and probably a zoophile, what they call it. He likes to fuck dogs. Yeah, it's really fucking disgusting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Allegedly. Okay. Allegedly. And this is a private conversation. It's not for public consumption. So, I don't want to get sued by anybody. But the point, see, the assumption was that he was this inoffensive gay guy. And in fact, he's not this inoffensive gay guy. Okay. And it's come out. And of course, it killed his career. His audience just turned on him. Totally turned on him, yeah, because this base assumption had been violated. See, there's another issue too that happens. A lot of times, a content creator is fairly young when he starts out. And it's very natural for him to slowly evolve and change his mind. It's because it's part of growing up, right? In my own case, I started my channel in, like I said, in early 2017. I was 49 fucking years old. Yeah, I try to develop and grow and change, sure. But I mean, how much fucking change am I really going to do? What, I'm going to all of a sudden become a communist or some shit like that? No, of course not. So most of who I am, it's pretty much settled. At this point, I'm just adding layers to what I already am, but I'm there already. But a young guy, somebody who's in his early 20s and shit, doing videos and such, yeah, he already is, he is rather developing and changing. And it's very natural and normal for a kid who's like 22, 25 to have certain opinions and within just 3 years change them radically. course, he's at that age that he's seeing more of the world, understanding the world a little bit better. And a lot of times, a lot of the naive and foolish ideas he had are just that, naive and foolish ideas that he has to give up. And he gives them up. And all of a sudden, if he gives them up, he realizes that he is at odds with his audience. And that creates enormous tension. See? And so that happens all the time. That happens all the time. I'm not talking about commentary community. I'm talking every single kind of video genre. It's inevitable. Okay. So that's why I was saying earlier, pray to God that you never have a viral video early on. Have a viral video when you have like 30,000 subscribers and you've put out, at least 50 videos and you have a fairly clear idea as to what kind of content you're making. Okay. Only then you want to have a viral video, not before. Anyway, yeah. Now let's talk about the money bit. This is the part that everybody's going to fucking love. Okay. Oh yeah. Nearly 2 hours into this fucking thing before I got into the money bit. Okay. So the revenue sources. The revenue sources for YouTube channel, okay, are fairly straightforward. I'll enumerate them first, and then I'll go through each of them one at a time. The revenue sources are YouTube ad revenue, YouTube super chats, which is, for those of you who don't know it, it's the streaming revenue. You get super chats, that is like basically tips from the audience when you're doing a live stream. And also when you are premiering the episode or premiering a video that you've posted, okay? And I'll get to that in a minute. Then there are subscription platforms such as Patreon and OnlyFans or self-made websites, which is something that I'm exploring right now, as a matter of fact. Then there is the issue of merchandise. Then there's books or programs of some sort, that help you in whatever way, or sometimes products. Sometimes they, like the makeup channels, they put out perfumes and makeup products and shit like that. Okay, I should have called it just product. Okay, content creator product. Then there are sponsorships. Okay, sponsors who will pay money for you to basically say something nice about their product or service on your videos. Let's go through them one at a time. Now, YouTube ad revenue. YouTube takes a 30% cut. You don't actually see that, okay? That cut, unlike super chats, which I'll get to shortly, the ad revenue from the creator's perspective, he doesn't know how much he's getting because, how much YouTube is taking rather. All he knows is what YouTube is giving him. And YouTube doesn't audit these numbers. It just gives the creator whatever YouTube wants, okay? And ad revenue is measured by CPM. That is cost per 1,000. Okay, the M there is the shorthand for 1,000. Okay, the CPM, that is how much money you get per 1,000 views. For instance, if you have a 1,500,000 view video, right? You will get paid for 1,500 thousands. You see what I'm saying? Now the CPM fluctuates for YouTube videos between $2 and $8. That's net. That's what the creator gets. Okay, depending on how advertiser friendly the channel is. Now let's suppose the following. Like, let's take Leo Goulden's channel. The Samson Boat Company. Now, I'm going to make up some numbers about him, but I'm not shitting on the guy. I'm just saying how it is. He's probably making, I'd guess, $6, $7, $8 because his videos are inoffensive. He's building a fucking wooden boat. Okay, he's not talking about politics or any shit like that. He's talking about like the problems he has. Like sanding shit and building the keel and crap like that, which I find fucking fascinating, right? But it is so inoffensive. It's not PG rated, it's G rated. This shit, it's perfectly advertiser friendly. So he's on high end. He's, like I said, $7, $8 per CPM. That is $7 to $8 per 1,000 views. Okay. Now he puts out a video. The video gets, say, 500,000 views. Okay. What does that mean? It's how much money is that? That is 500,000 views, that is 500 1,000s, right? So it's, let's say for the sake of argument that he's getting $7 CPM. That would be 7 times 500. 7 times 500 is what? $3,500. That's what he's getting for that video that was seen by 500,000 viewers. That's what he got. Okay. I mean, if you want to be all autistic about it, he is earning 0.7 cents per view. Yeah. 7/10 of 1 cent is what he gets paid per view. When you watch it, an advertiser, the whatever ad is showing, is paying Leo 7/10 of a cent. That's what he's getting, right? But of course, you don't measure it in that awkward phrase. You say CPM. He's getting $7 CPM for 500,000 views. He's getting, $3,500. He puts out 2 videos a month, one every 2 weeks. So if I had to guess, I'd guess that he's getting in, and each of his videos, by the way, gets roughly 500,000 to 1 million views, somewhere in that range. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, just to make the math easy, that, he does one video that gets, say 500,000 views, and the other video gets 750,000 views. Oh, I just made the math a lot harder, but okay, I'll try to muddle through. So he's getting, in total, for those 2 videos, quite apart from all the other videos that he has in his inventory, which I'll get to in just a moment. See, he is getting 7 times 1,750. And how much is that? I don't have a calculator. Oh, I do have a calculator right in front of me. Let me just quickly do that. 1,750 times $7. That's 12,250. But that's just from those 2 videos. See, the better way to measure his income is just to look up how many views rather, he's getting from all of his videos during the month. Now you go to Social Blade, and socialblade.com. It's a website that tracks how many views each channel gets. And all you have to do is go there to that socialblade.com and plug in the name or the URL of the YouTube channel you're interested in, and go to that page. You'll land on a page that has all the stats of that particular channel, right? I don't know this. I'm not looking at his channel. I'm just taking this as a hypothetical. But knowing that Leo's channel's content is evergreen, that is, you can watch it at any time. It's not like contemporary news. When somebody talks about something that's going on in the news right this second, yeah, it's relevant today, but in a week's time, nobody's going to give a shit. Like, for instance, Tim Pool. Tim Pool has huge audience numbers for the videos that he puts out, but his inventory is all about shit that happened, a week, a month, a year ago. Who gives a fuck? Because he's talking about current events. And so what happened a week, a month, or a year ago is irrelevant to what's going on right now. Ergo, people do not go through his inventory looking at all the old videos that he makes. Why would they? They're passé. They are, irrelevant. But Leo's channel, he's up to episode 100. It was episode 100 appeared yesterday, as a matter of fact. It was a very good episode. You should check it out. Samson Boat Company. And he put out the 100th video, the 100th episode. And this 100th episode is every 2 weeks. So obviously from that number 100, you realize that he's been at this for 4 fucking years. And I've been following him for like at least 3. So anyway, Leo, you can go to his first video, to his first episode, and it's fucking fascinating. And you can go through all 100 episodes in order, and you can see the development of the boat. And like I said, episode 100, which was released yesterday, it's sort of like a primer, a trailer of all the other content on his channel, because he did this 100th episode and he showed bits and pieces of all the process from when he found the abandoned boat, when he got into it for the first time, and looked at all the rotten wood and all that, until today, when he's just finished painting the hull, after rebuilding the whole fucking thing. It's an amazing development. And he's still like another 100 episodes away from finishing the fucking thing. But the point is that, see, his content is evergreen. You can watch that shit forever. And people do. And so because of it, even though I said in this hypothetical, I don't know his actual numbers. I'm not looking at him now. But if I had to guess, I'd say that he's probably... he's putting out these 2 videos that are getting, about 600,000 views on average. But I would guesstimate that he's got at least another 600,000 views on all his other channels per month. So, 2 million views without breaking a sweat, probably closer to 3 million if I had to guess. So let's just make it conservative and say that he's raking in 2.5 million views. Okay, two 2,500,000 views. That is 2,500 1,000s, right? So 2,500 times 7, yeah, 17,500 bucks. That's what he's probably earning from just the ad revenue. That's a lot of fucking money, huh? I mean, I don't begrudge the guy that, and I don't have a problem shelling out more money because he spends all the fucking money on the people working on the boat or for the wood to make the boat, which is incredibly expensive. So yeah, nobody begrudges him. Everybody who follows him on Patreon or shells out money in his direction or the ad money he's getting, nobody begrudges him that. And on top of that, the son of a bitch is really nice. He never puts any ads in the videos. He only puts ads before the video or after the video, never in the middle of it, which is fantastic. So anyway, the guy is making good bank, right? That's the kind of money that you can get, but that's from non-controversial stuff. I was getting roughly $2.50, roughly a third of what Leo's getting. Yeah, not advertiser friendly. And this was when I still had ads, and this was before August of 2018 when YouTube stepped on my numbers. Okay, when they stepped on my oxygen tank before that, I was getting $2.50 per CPM. Yeah, that was it. Now, that's one source of revenue. Then there's super chats, YouTube super chats, which is basically tips that people give to you on live streams. And when you premiere a video, you can also get super chats, but you don't get that much because, of course, when there is a premiere, the video is playing, but there's no interaction with the creator. What people want when they give super chats is that they want interaction with the creator. They want the creator to read the super chat. Okay. YouTube takes 30% cut, and that's when you see it. Okay. Somebody gives you, $20 and you're like, yay, I got $20. No, you got 13 and change because a third goes to YouTube. Okay. And that's when you start to see the 30% cut, because in the ad revenue, you don't really see the 30% cut because they're just giving you the 70% and you're figuring, oh, that's the money. But when you add up your live stream money and you're like, yay, team, I got a couple of $1,000, and then you get the check, it's only 1,300. You're like, what the fuck? Well, now you know. Just like ad revenue, it's at the whim of YouTube. Okay. They can cut you out instantly whenever they want. And they keep the money, by the way. I had earned in ad revenue something like $2,500 in December of 2019 when they cut me out. And those $2,500, I'm never going to see them. Yeah. Hey, it's a lot of money. Fuck yeah. $2,500. I am never going to see that cash, which is grossly unfair, but no, that's life. That's fucking life. Okay. Yeah. So the money you get from ads, from super chats, it's completely at the discretion of YouTube, and there's nothing you can do about it. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. Now, the next revenue source outside YouTube. I mean, basically, here you're using the YouTube channel that you have. You're using it as a advertisement for the other stuff that you're selling. The principal one is subscription platforms, stuff like Patreon, OnlyFans, or dedicated websites, which I should do because I'm actually losing quite a bit of money to Patreon. And I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm losing roughly 15% of my gross revenue on Patreon to Patreon because you guys shell out $5 plus value-added tax, right? That's how much you're shelling out, or $10 plus value-added tax. But see, I don't get $5. No, I get $4.36. That's what I get. Yeah. And the same applies to the $10. It's just double that. See, I get $8.72. That's what I get. It's roughly 15% is going to Patreon. And they disguise it and all the rest of it. And they say like, oh, it's just fee here and fee there, but it's basically 15%. There's something else going on too, that Patreon, see, when I look at my Patreon, my patron manager, which is a utility in the Patreon website, I have a different number of Patreons than the official number. At this time, I have something like 3,137 subscribers, right? But on Patreon, I have a different number. It's actually larger. It's larger by about 20%. And I don't know how that number is arrived at. And I don't know if Patreon is hiding those users. And why do I think that? Because you see, when I go to the Patreon manager and I ask them to list all of my subscribers, see, it's that larger number of subscribers. And I arrange all these, something like 3,600 people. I arrange them by the amount of money that they paid the last time, from smaller to greater. And the smallest number is $5 that they paid last month. And the highest, and it goes up to through the $5 tier and then the $10 tier and so on. And so that means that those let me just see that real quick. I can tell you the exact number. I'm not going to show it to you on. Well, I'll try to show it to you on screen. Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? Why not? I mean, you might as well know it so that you know that. And I'd appreciate you not making a to-do with Patreon, because they might use this to kick me off the platform altogether. I'm not kidding, because these guys they don't give a fuck, Yeah, because of this, I'm just going to have you just take my word for it. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Wait a second. I'm going to hang on. Sorry, I'm just doing this real quick. Right. Okay. So have a pen and paper handy. According to when I do a post, it says that I have 2,889 $5 patrons and 1,283 $10 patrons. And that would be a total of course, let me break out the calc, because I'm not up for doing math right now. 2889 plus 1283 equals 4,172. That's the number of patrons that says in a different place. And then I go to the patrons manager. Oh, what's it saying? Oh, yeah. Okay. I go to the patrons manager and I clear all. And oh, man. Now it's saying something different. It's saying that I have 8,812 subscribers. Let's arrange this by pledges. Well, you know something? I'm gonna desist from this right now, because I'm going off topic and it's not important. The point that I want to make is that, see, these platforms, you're not sure if they're fucking you over. And the thing is, see, these platforms, all of the online platforms, they fuck over the content creator. You have to understand what's going on. See, the content creators, they are the cattle that is being sold. So from their point of view, it doesn't matter if they treat somebody like shit, because they can treat somebody like shit and they know that there'll be 10 other people who will be happy to take their place. Okay. So they have no incentive whatsoever to look after the content creators, and they have every incentive to cheat them. I suspect that YouTube cheats its view, or let me phrase it. I know that YouTube cheats its content creators. They fuck them over lots of times on the super chats, because a lot of times the money that they get is sometimes radically different from what you've seen. And you're like, what the fuck? And who do you complain to? Yeah. And what happens if you complain too much? It's a fucking monopoly. They'll kick you off and that's it. That's the end of your career. That happens all the time. Patreon, for instance, there isn't any other service like it. There's OnlyFans, but I've tried to join OnlyFans, but the fact that I don't have nudie pictures prevents me from joining OnlyFans. I'm not kidding, you know? It's like they only want naked women on OnlyFans, right? But anyway, so I can't really do anything about it. And Patreon is essentially a monopoly, and Subscribestar is some weird Chinese front for God knows what. I have no interest whatsoever in being involved in that company, because I know that it's a front. It just smells of a front. Okay. So anyway, the monopolies prevent any kind of competition and therefore any kind of honesty. Okay. And that's the reality of it. You know, it's the reality, and you got to suck it up, and that's that. I haven't really bothered setting up my own website with my own membership. It would cost me maybe $5,000, which is not a lot of money, because I would probably recoup that very quickly. Yeah, no, probably not, because I'm outside of the US, and so I'd have to do like set up an LLC and some other things. But altogether, it would be like, okay, maybe $7,500 Fuck it, let's say $10,000. If it were $10,000 to do it, I'd amortize that in probably 6 months. Okay. And the money that Patreon is getting from me, yeah, I'd recoup it in about 6 months. And after that, I'd be earning a profit. I mean, it would probably be financially worthwhile. The only reason I'm not doing it or haven't done it yet is because of a time issue, a time and a hassle. But that's the other way to make a lot of money. Okay. Because, I mean, I'm not going to go into the specifics of how much money I'm making on Patreon, but you guys, you got a calculator and you got a brain. You can figure it out pretty quickly. You know, I've got 3,100 subscribers, and, you know, roughly 2/3 of them are $5 and the other third is $10. You do the math, you can figure it out pretty quickly, and you'll probably be pretty accurate, pretty close to accurate, right? I'm not going to go into the specifics, but I mean, I respect you guys enough to know that you guys can figure it out. You can add 2 + 2. And so you can see it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of money. And why did it happen? Well, because, see, of consistency. And this is a key issue. When I started Patreon, I started it in like March of 17, but it was because everybody did it. And I was like, okay, I'll just do it, and just left it there. And it was sort of like a fly trap. You know, some fool was going to throw me money there. Great. Thanks a lot. I'll spend it on whatever the fuck. I couldn't even use the PayPal money on fucking Amazon. I remember I was being like, what the fuck am I going to spend this money on? And I just left it in my PayPal account. It just kept growing. You know, it was pretty funny. Anyway, it was peanuts. Okay. The first 8 months, no, more. The first year and a half that I had Patreon, I never had more than like 5 followers, 5 subscribers. And in the end, you know, I got, I don't know, a couple $100, if that. I mean, really nothing. But in October of 18, I decided, you know, I'm going to get serious about this shit. Okay, let's explore it. Let's see if this is like something that could be financially worthwhile. Because also I was seeing the revenue growth from my free channel, and I was looking at Patreon and saying, well, you know, I'm making good money now off of the free channel with the ad revenue. This was, like I said, October of 18. And so I figured, well, if I'm making good money off of this, let's see how much money I can make off of the Patreon. And I started doing the Patreon, and immediately I got a bump up of like 500 followers, subscribers on Patreon. And the promise was at that time just 1 extra video per week, which is fairly modest. And what happened was that I got 500 followers right away. And I continued that during October, November, December, and then January of 19. I traveled to the US on personal business, and I also did that stupid fight in Knoxville. And late January and February, I was kind of lazy, and my numbers sort of like plateaued. And because I wasn't doing the fucking Patreon shit, right? And I was like, no, this is wrong. I remember I got a message from somebody. I forget who. I wish I could remember, to tell you the truth. And the guy berated me, justifiably so. And he was like, what the fuck, man? We're paying $5. You said that you were going to do a video every week. Well, what the fuck? And he was right. And so that must have been like February, February, not later than March, because by March I was like on the ball. And I've never missed a video since then. And you look at Graphtreon, and my chart just keeps on going up and up and up, because I was always relentless on the Patreon. Because when I started thinking to myself, yeah, these people are fucking paying me for me to fucking deliver. This is a service that I'm providing. Okay. So I got to do the best quality content that I possibly can, and on a consistent basis. And that made the Patreon thing pretty serious for me, because I thought to myself, yeah, this is a transaction. And as I've said to you before, I view our relationship as transactional. I am taking your money and I am giving you a product that I have promised, and it's done to the best of my ability. Okay. Whether you agree with my videos or not, a lot of people thought that I was full of shit with my, I'm going all in on the Euro video that I put out this past Wednesday, right? But nobody can deny that I'm doing the best videos that I can. And these presentations, for instance, I mean, I've never shown up without a prepared presentation. It's always with a PowerPoint. I've devoted quite a bit of time, at least a couple of hours, more sometimes, to each presentation, so that you get your money's worth. I mean, I'm happy to do it because I'm realizing this is a service that I'm providing, and you are paying your hard-earned money. It's not a lot individually for each of you. I mean, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but nobody's going to lose any sleep or go hungry because of $10 a month, right? Which, by the way, I really like, because it's such a modest amount that nobody is going to go hungry. Okay. And by the way, I do my private consultations for $500 an hour, right? Precisely for the opposite reason. So I don't get just random people hogging up my time. And because it's enough money that I'm going to pay super close attention, because it's a lot of money. It's not something to just ignore and just like blow off or give short shrift, right? But I'll get to that in just a moment. I've actually forgot to put it on my list, but I'll get to it in a moment. But the point about subscription platforms, if you have a YouTube channel, it is reasonable to think that if you are delivering quality content on your paid channel, that you can realistically get roughly 1% of your subscriber base to your paid subscription platform. That's a reasonable inference. And it's been true for me. I have 270,000 subscribers. Roughly 1% of that, 1% of that is 2,700. And I currently have 3,100 paid subscribers. And that is after, what was it, October of 18? That's 2.5 years, almost 3 years. But you look at the chart on the Graphtreon and the growth of my subscription base, except for that early laziness on my part, because that's what it was, in January, February of 2019. After that, I was like strict and consistent. The chart goes up and up and up and up, nonstop. See? And you look at the curve, yeah, by the way, if you look at a curve, it's like up and down, up and down, up and down every month. But yeah, what happens is that at the end of every month, when they start charging, there are a lot of people who have simply decided to cancel for whatever reason. It's not me. Sometimes their circumstances have changed. Sometimes they no longer like the content. Sometimes they got bored with the content, or they got saturated with the content. It's perfectly normal. Okay. And so that's why you have that drop off at the end of the month when the charges come due, right? But the point is that, see, that consistency on my part makes the channel, the Patreon channel, consistently grow. And that's what you want. Okay? Consistent growth. Now, what I've noticed is that in the subscription models, subscription platforms, the more complicated the rewards, the fewer people sign up. Because if there are some content creators who put like several tiers, like 4 tiers, right? And they say, oh, here's a Discord, and here's this, and here's that. It's just all complicated. And if it's all complicated, people don't know how to handle it. And they get bored, and they're like, oh, this is too fucking complicated. And they decide not to subscribe. But if you make it simple and very straightforward, then people get it. Yeah. In my case, there are 2 tiers, $5 and $10, right? Which I'm going to be changing to euros. It'll probably be 450 euros and 9 euros, the 2 tiers, which is roughly equivalent. Okay. It's really not going to affect you guys, but the point. See, there are 2 tiers. In one tier, you get an extra video a week. In the other tier, you get that same extra video a week and the weekly webinar, right? Where you can get to talk to me and we shoot the shit and whatnot, right? That's very clear and simple. It's not complicated. Now, There was a time where I experimented with the notion of my old Patreon videos of putting them behind a separate paywall. I actually set it up. It was basically going to be $20 to view those old videos. But then I realized that was a mistake because it made things complicated and it made it as if I were just trying to milk every penny. And what's happened quite naturally is that, now if you are a $5 subscriber, you can pay your $5 and you can literally download all those videos. It'd take you a while, but you could download, I don't know how many I've done so far on Patreon, like 120, 130, something like that, or more perhaps, 140, I think. You can download them all. And, you paid $5 for 140 videos, right? Of course, few people are actually ever going to bother to do such a thing. But, potentially you could. But the thing is, see, preventing that by putting a paywall on the old content alienated people. And it wasn't really worth it because the loss of revenue was so minor and consequential by letting any random person sign up for 1 month and download all the content. It was going to be so minor anyway that it wasn't worth the antagonism that it would create with the audience, right? Simplicity. You always want to keep it simple, okay? And like I said, subscriptions are a function of the size of your YouTube audience. And I've looked at other content creators and yeah. But of course, what's key is that they have to constantly be plugging their own subscription, their subscription platform. They have to be saying, sign up for the Patreon, and they have to say something about it because or else people don't know. It's not that, like in my case, some people might be annoyed that at the end of every video, I say, oh, sign up to my Patreon, right? But what happens is that if I don't say this, people aren't going to know. It's as simple as that. See, if you're not shilling for yourself, nobody's going to shill for you. You see? And so you have to shill for yourself. Now, let's go on to the next issue, which is merchandise. I've experimented with merchandise a couple of times, and ultimately, I didn't like it. The content creator gets very little of the merch money unless he sets up the infrastructure to fulfill the merch orders himself. This big YouTuber, the Always Smile, the Smile guy, the guy who's got like a, this hyper happy guy with the wife and the kids, some always be happy, some shit like that. You know who I'm talking about. Well, he, he's got several million subscribers and he fulfills all the merch orders himself. Not he himself, he's got people who work for him, right? And so if I had to guess, he's probably netting a good 60% at least of the money coming in. That's his net profit, right? Or let me phrase that. That's his net revenue after his expenses. But if you go with spring tea is it called? Or some shit like that. I forget. Any of these merch companies where you sign up and you create your own designs and they sell it for you and fulfill it for you and they give you a cut. Well, the cut really is not that much. It's roughly about 15% of the gross revenue. You can amp up the price so that percentage is higher. But what happens is that you amp it up enough and people are like, Jesus Christ, I'm not going to pay fucking $25 for a fucking t-shirt with a logo of my favorite YouTuber. It's too expensive. And they'd be right. $25 for a t-shirt. What the fuck are you talking about, man? You can get a nice t-shirt at H&M for $5. Okay. So this shit of spending $25 for a t-shirt, come on, right? And that's what happens. See, these companies, Spring Tea is it called? Teesprings, right? Yeah, Teesprings. My Alzheimer's. What the fuck can I say? Teespring, right? It is Teespring. Whatever the fuck it's called. There are several of these fucking companies. They take the lion's share of the revenue, and they're just using content creators. And it might be kind of good, but it's just not that much money. I mean, let me put it this way: you are working so that some third-party company takes 80% of the revenue from your audience. That's not fucking smart now, is it? No, of course not. I mean, if you've got the money to set up an infrastructure to fulfill the merch orders yourself, do it. Okay. But you've got to have a big enough audience that's willing to shell out money. Okay. And that's not necessarily the case. Now, books and programs, that's another source of revenue. Now, a lot of red pill YouTubers do this shit. A lot of pickup artists, dating gurus and shit like that do this. Now, it's the most lucrative and it's the easiest money because you write the book the one fucking time, right? And of course, it's a digital download, so cost is zero for all intents and purposes. Okay, you can make a lot of fucking money, without doing any fucking work. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it really is. Okay. Mm. Now, you can wind up making a shit ton of money from books. But the risks of this is that your content becomes an advertisement for the books or the program. You're telling people, oh yeah, in chapter 2, I talk about this, go and buy the book. And you don't do any more videos. You don't do any content. You're just doing content to support the book. And your audience is going to see through it. And what'll happen a lot of times, your audience will see through it before you realize you're doing it. And they'll turn on you before you realize what you've done. I've seen it a number of times with other content creators, that they were making so much money from their books or their programs, their dating app, whatever the fuck they were selling, that their content slowly but surely morphed into just ads for their books, and they didn't realize it, and they pissed off their audience. Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. Okay, and yeah, so it's yeah. The other thing, is sponsors. Sponsors in video advertisement. Okay, now this stuff, I've been offered this a number of times. I've frankly turned it down every time. I've never done any kind of in-video advertisement, and thinking about it, I probably never will. I mean, it would have to be for an enormous amount of money, for very little work. Okay. And I probably make fun of the whole thing because I find it kind of cringe personally. Okay. I mean, I don't have a problem advertising my Patreon channel to my subscribers, but I don't do it in the fucking video. Actually, no, I've done it a couple of times in the video now that I think about it. But I don't mind because it's like my fucking shit. I'm advertising my content on Patreon. So I don't mind, right? But, suppose I was like advertising like fucking a virtual private network, or some role-playing video game or whatever the fuck, the thing that's like very common. Yeah. And I'm not putting down anybody who's done it. Okay. But in my own case, man, I just feel, no, I can't do it. I can't shill. Okay. And like I said, I've been offered it a number of times, and the prices for me have fluctuated between $700 and $1,500. If you're under 1 million subscribers, yeah, the upper limit is 2,000. Now, beyond 1 million subscribers, it depends on a whole host of factors, okay? Because once you have a channel with over 1 million subscribers and you're getting consistent views commensurate to that 1 million subscribers, right? Then you're probably going to have a very specific demographic, and some very specific company will want to reach that very specific demographic, and they will likely be willing to pay you through the nose to reach that audience. Yeah, I mean, if you've got like 1 million subs and your videos are consistently hitting, 150,000 to 250,000 views consistently, right? And it's a very specific demo. It's a fucking gold mine to some company whose demographic aspirations match the demo that you have. So they'll be happy to pay you 10 grand or more for some, 30-second spot in some video that exactly their target demographic is going to watch. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, you can make a lot of money off of sponsorships, a lot of money. Okay. I personally don't care for it. And I think it's much more an aesthetic thing than anything else. I just do not care for it. And a couple of times I did in-video ads for my own Patreon, but I found that cringy. And I now do only my Patreon at the end of my show, or a couple of times at the beginning of it, at the beginning of a video. But then the meat and potatoes of the video is just the meat and potatoes. And like I said, I don't feel bad about it because, see, on Patreon, what am I offering? More of my content, okay? Of my unfiltered thoughts on whatever the fuck. So I don't feel bad about that at all. If I were doing like a VPN, I'd feel very bad. But going back to all of this, the point of all this, there's a lot of money to be made. Now, a lot of times these sponsors structure their contract. What they'll do is, I forget the term exactly right now. It's slipping my mind. But you'll have like a minimum target for your payment, right? Suppose they offer you, say for the sake of argument, $1,000 and you have to hit 50,000 views on the video for a 60-second promo in the middle of the video. Okay. Now there'll be a part of the contract that say, yeah, if you hit less than 50,000, then you have to do a second promo. Less than 50,000 within, say, 2 weeks of release of the video. Then you have to do a second video where you do the same promo again, and you don't get paid anymore. Okay. Yeah. Suppose you put out a video and you had agreed to it being in a video that will reach 50,000 views, but it doesn't hit 50,000. So it hits, say, 40,000 in 2 weeks, right? And so that means that you have to do another video with a 60-second promo for the same product in the middle of the next video, but you don't get paid an additional $700. You get paid butkus. It was the first $700 covers it. See, and likewise, there are contracts where you get paid, say, $1,000 for, say, 100,000 views. But if you get over, for 50,000 views, but if you get over 100,000 views, you get $1,500. You see, and you get like bumps, like bonuses for viewership. And if a video goes viral with your ad in it, you get even a bigger bump, which makes complete sense. See, so that all kinds of stuff can go like that. Okay, and you can make a lot of money because you see the advertiser is happy to put a clause in the contract saying that if your video hits 1 million views, they'll give you an additional $10,000. Of course, because see, if a video that they hired you to do for $1,000 for 50,000 views, right, hits 20 times that number, and they'll give you a bonus of $10,000, then, dude, they actually saved money in a sense. See, and they're getting 1 million eyeballs as opposed to 50,000 eyeballs. It's 20 times more for 50% of the money that they ordinarily would have paid. See, so it's worth it for them. They're happy to put that kind of a bump. So if you do a viral video that hits 1 million views, 1 million views is 1,000 CPM, right? And you're getting paid, say, $5,000, $5 CPM rather. That would be $5,000 for the video plus $11,000 for the sponsor. See, because the sponsor paid you 1,000 if it hit 50,000, but an additional 10,000 if it hits 1 million. See, you can make a lot of fucking money. Is my point. Okay, so let's like start talking like brass tacks on like the whole shebang. Suppose you have, I actually didn't set this up, but we'll just do it back of the envelope. Suppose you have a channel of 100,000 subscribers, and you are getting 1 million views a month. Okay. And your CPM is $5 a month, $5 per CPM, right? Sorry about that. So 100,000 subscribers, 1 million views a month, $5 CPM. What can you realistically get? Well, on the ad revenue, you can realistically get $5,000. That's $5 CPM times 1,000, because 1 million is 1,000 thousands. So you get $5,000 there. Okay, that's your ad revenue. And suppose, just to spice it up a little, you do, say, 4 live streams a month, and each live stream nets you, say, net, not the money that before YouTube's cut, but like net after YouTube's cut. Let's say $250. That's $1,000 per month. Yeah, because 4 of these live streams, $250 each. That's $1,000. So you're getting $6,000 from YouTube. And suppose with that rule of thumb that we had of the subscription, that 1% of your audience subscribes to your platform, to your paid subscription platform. Remember, getting that 1% takes a long fucking time. It took me, like I said, 2.5 years. October 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 2.5, almost 3 years to get to the level I am now on my Patreon channel. Okay, so it's not an easy process. But suppose you, with your 100,000 subscribers, get to 1,000 paid subscribers on Patreon, and they're paying, on average, again to make the math easy, $5. Well, you're actually getting net closer to $4, because not only does Patreon take a fee, but PayPal takes a fee. You know, fees, they go everywhere. So you're netting from your 1,000 subscribers $4,000, plus the $6,000 that you're getting from your ad revenue and your super chats. You're up to $10,000 per month. Now, let's say that you have a little merchandise going. Yeah, you push the merch, right? But it's all through Teespring or outfits like that, right? So you're getting, say, your gross selling, say, $5,000 a month in merchandise, but you're only getting, let's be generous, say 20% of the gross revenue is going to your pocket for all that merch. So that's another $1,000. So we're up to 11,000. Now, suppose you have some little ebook that you're pushing, right? Ebooks are great and you can build on them. Okay. So let's say that you're getting another $500 per book and you have 3 books. That's $1,500. We're up to 12,500. And let's say finally that you have, let's make it really conservative. One sponsor, no, let's do this. 2 ads in 2 videos per month at $750. Again, to make the math easy. $750 times 2 is $1,500. This is very reasonable. 2 ads per month. Yeah, very reasonable. $1,500 plus 12,500. That's 14 grand. That's what you're earning. That's a realistic amount of money that you're earning from everything. Yeah. And that's the kind of money that you could be earning on YouTube. Yeah. Easily. Okay. I mean, the numbers that I've hypothesized, the only number that I'm pushing is the CPM. I'm pushing that it's going to be $5 per CPM, because I'm assuming that your content is non-controversial. Okay. Though paradoxically, I've noticed that the people who have more controversial content make more money from the books. Think of Rush V and all his books about getting laid before he found religion and you know, became an Orthodox Christian and eliminated all those books, right? He was making a lot of money off of those books, you know, bang Ukraine, bang Croatia, bang wherever the fuck, right? He had like 15 of those books. And if I had to guess, he was probably making easy without breaking a sweat from each of those books, at least $250 each. And say he had, I'm saying he has 15 books. I don't know how many he was, but let's say 16 books, or flip it. Let's do it 12 books just to make the math easy. And he was getting $250 per book per month from, you know, legacy sales, you know. So that's 3 grand right there. Okay. I mean, you see how much money can be made. A lot of money can be made from having a successful YouTube channel. Okay. And not be the biggest content creator in the world. And like I said, this hypothetical that I'm giving you here of 100,000 subscribers, 1 million views a month, that is extremely achievable. Okay. And like I said, the only thing that I'm pushing the envelope is the $5 per CPM. It could more realistically be closer to $4 a CPM. Okay. Okay, fuck it. Let's just say that I'm off by $2,000, $12,000 a month. Can you live off of that? Let's have a show of hands. How many people in chat could live comfortably off of 12 grand a month? Okay. Hit a +1 if you can, hit a 0 if you cannot survive on 12 grand a month. Let's see, guys. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and yeah, it's a lot of money. That's all I have to say about it. And I was really surprised, because you got to keep in mind that in my own case, I didn't see any money for the first year and a half. I didn't see any money. Okay, I was doing it for kicks. And in early 18, when I started getting bored, yeah. The first X is saying 0. Just kidding. Yeah, 12 grand is 12 grand. Yeah. When I first started getting some real money off of this shit, I was like, fuck, man. The first couple of months, I was like really surprised. I blew all the money on stupid shit, right? Yeah, just stupid crap that with my own money, I just feel too embarrassed to blow. But with found money, because that's what I considered it at first, found money, I'm like, oh man. But as you get into it after a while, you start realizing, um, yeah, 144,000 a year. Yeah, that's very good money. Mhm. Uh, yeah. I mean, yeah, Axel Stone is saying that would be bye-bye student debt in about 1 month. Exactly right. It's a lot of money. Okay. It's achievable. Mhm. But you have to be very consistent, very disciplined. And I've noticed something about the YouTube people. Okay. I met a lot of YouTube creators, and I became early on very fascinated by them because they all share a certain qualities that are very, very rare. Mhm. I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about guys like Styx Hexenhammer, Leo Goulden, Sargon of Akkad, Nick Fuentes, people whom I love and whom I hate, people who are my best friends and my mortal enemies. All of them share certain qualities, and it's very interesting to study them. The first that they have is an iron discipline, because you have to have an iron discipline to do this shit. Okay? Because there are so many temptations to not do this shit, to do something else, anything else, because it's exhausting. It's work. It's a lot of work. Okay, and they have an iron discipline and a weird, almost autistic focus on details. Okay, it's hard to do this, and it requires a certain extremely concentrated individual, somebody who can focus and concentrate for an extended period of time. Editing a video, for instance, it's not fucking easy. Okay. It's actually very hard, and it takes a while to get good at it. Mhm. And, and like one of the things what's his name? This guy, Holiday. What was the name of this fucker? Oh, well, he was some asshole that I had a number of run-ins back in the whole Krautgate saga shit of 2017, right? And that fucker, one time he was on some live stream talking to somebody, and he said, yeah, CRP is an asshole and blah, 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 but he really knows how to edit videos. And yeah, because I do. And that's the thing. See, we recognize the qualities of each other, and they're common. Okay. There are certain qualities, and you're like, yeah, this guy can make it. This guy's going to make it. There's actually some guy I've been following, a guy called Wheat Waffles. I actually did 3 videos on this motherfucker. You're going to see them in July, by the way. Not on Patreon. Don't worry. I'm not going to inflict 3 videos on this fucker on you guys, right? I was very fascinated by this guy. He's just a black-pilled motherfucker. Black-pilled is all get out, right? And he's adorable. I mean, he's a young kid, and he's so nihilistic and black-pilled, right? But I realize he's a child, right? And at that age, everybody's like that. And so that's why I did these videos, because I'm really answering myself. Because when I was young, I was as black-pilled as this kid. But anyway, this kid, I've been watching his content. He's got a couple of thousand subscribers. He's going to go the distance. You can tell. Yeah, because he's got that X factor. And that X factor is a certain discipline, a certain attention to detail, a certain unwillingness to leave good enough alone. That's why most YouTubers are guys. Of course, there are a lot of women YouTubers, a lot of Twitch streamers, for instance, sure. But on YouTube, with the editing that you need to do, it's guys. Because guys have that autistic focus on detail. Yeah. No, and by the way, Alma Mater is saying, I couldn't pour my heart out to the public. I'll highlight this. I couldn't pour my heart out to the public, too much vulnerability. No. You're missing the point. It's not pouring your heart out to the public. In fact, you don't. Okay. That's one of the things that happens, though. The public, your followers, they really want to know all about you, because it's much more personal than TV. You're watching TV or the movies, and that movie star, that TV star, whatever, he's just some guy living in Hollywood in some mansion and doing all this coke and fucking all these hot girls, right? He's like a million miles away from you. But the YouTuber, you can see his fucking bedroom, motherfucker. You see where he lives and shit. And so you want to know more. It's natural. It's a much more intimate experience. That's why it's so fucking popular. That's why it's YouTube. Okay? It's not TV tube. It's not movie tube. It's YouTube. It's personal. And ironically, the people who run YouTube don't fucking understand this. But people love that interaction. They love it. Yeah. And what happens is that the content creators, they hide who they are. And they all do, myself included. I mean, there are large areas or aspects of my life and personality that you guys have no idea about. You guys don't know how, things I do on a full moon. Yeah. Go out there. Yeah. On the full moon, howling, and I can feel my claws digging into the dirt as I run. Yeah. Do you know that? No, of course not. But you get my point. It's a serious point. See, you wind up showing as much or as little as you want of yourself to the people, to your audience. And they're constantly digging. And some guys get a little bit exhausted by it. Sometimes they snap at fans and whatnot. I mean, yeah, it happens. And it's happened to me that a couple of times I'm like walking down the street and some fan, some viewer is like, hey, you're Coach Red Pill. And they shake my hand and stuff. And sometimes they catch me in a good mood. And sometimes they don't, And a couple of times I've been kind of like an asshole to people, not because I really meant it, but because I was preoccupied with other shit. I got completely discombobulated and just thrown off guard. And it was just like, who the fuck are you, man? I mean, I'm just some random guy walking down the street, and what the fuck? Leave me alone. It happens. Sure. I mean, I remember the last time that happened to me, I was in Kalverstraat in Holland, in Amsterdam. I was walking down the street. It's this big commercial boulevard with all the big shops and that kind of shit. And it was like after closing time, and there was practically nobody around. And this guy with his real pretty girlfriend, he like stops me and say, "Hey, you're Coach Red Pill," and shook my hand, talked to me a bit, and he caught me in a really good mood. And I was like, "Hey, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it." And all good, And he said, "Oh, I've shown your shit to my girlfriend," and I laughed and said, "Oh, did you think I was sexist?" And she said, "Yeah, kind of." And I just laughed, and the fact that I laughed, she realized, I'm not a complete asshole, and so, but it's very flattering, but at the same time, it can be a little overwhelming. And it can be incredibly unnerving when you read pages and pages of comments criticizing the same fucking thing that you did. It can really drive you around the bend. And what really, really bothers me is sometimes I'm reading comments, I'm going through them, and some motherfucker hits on exactly the thing that I'm worried about or thinking might be true. And like, it's really a function of just averages. Enough comments cross your feed, eventually somebody's going to say something that's accurate about who you are, or something that you fear might be accurate about who you are, right? It's like that old saying, of like, how long does it take for 100 monkeys to pound out collected works of William Shakespeare, right? Same thing. Eventually, some guy in the comment section is going to hit on that thing that you're very insecure about, and yeah, it's pretty funny, and you have to not take it personally, yeah. So anyway, look, I've been going on for fucking 2.75 hours on this shit. This is not what I expected at all. So I'm going to throw it out to questions. Let me just copy it, but it's going to be reduced, man, because I'm like beat, and I think that you all are probably sick of this shit too. So I'm putting out the link to join, but I want you guys, if you don't mind, to keep it on point as to YouTube shit. You can ask me anything you want about YouTube, but keep it on YouTube shit, because I know that people listening to this recording later on will want to hear more, any intelligent question or anything that you guys think that I missed about YouTubing. So I'm happy to answer about YouTubing. Hey, Russell, how's it going?
Wow, I did not think I'd get on that fast. Hey, Coach Oswald, how are you?
I'm good. So what's on your mind?
Right, I have a YouTube page. It's my that I always use, and so I have 25 subscribers, and I have a couple of videos that have reached the couple of thousand marks, and one in particular has a lot of comments under it.
Yeah.
So I just want to know how to expand that. How to expand that
Just
if you
keep on
could.
doing more of that content. It's as simple as that. Just keep on doing more of the content that gets the views. You know, I mean, you got to realize, you got to figure out what is it about that particular video that hit a few thousand viewers, and you just keep on ringing that bell. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. It's very simple. Okay, but you have to, the thing, if you have like 20 subscribers or whatever, first of all, a good thing to say in the video is subscribe. But I cannot emphasize this enough. You have to be consistent in your schedule and the quality of your videos. If you're not those two things, it's not going to work. Okay. If you just put out a random video every once in a while, you're not going to grow your audience. It's as simple as that. Okay. And nobody can work around that. Okay.
Got it. Oh, actually, Coach, just briefly, I wanted to let you know that your throwaway videos that you did on your phone, that actually inspired me to, I make videos just like that, because I got lost in the minutia of how many cameras do I need and special effects, and do I have to put on skits and crap. But then no, I just took my phone, I hit record, I speak about whatever I want to, and that's that. So
yeah,
thank you.
Exactly. All you have to do is be compelling about whatever it is you're saying. Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, because look, it's basically works like this. The more production value, the less you can get away with saying. Like Casey Neistat, he has enormous production value to hide the fact that he says nothing. See, and then on the flip side is that you have Sticks Hexenhammer, who has zero production value, but everything he says is very spot on, and the way he delivers is excellent. He's outstanding. He's an outstanding extemporaneous speaker. He never puts out any kind of like and ah and any kind of verbal crutch. He's always on point, always very articulate. See, and it's that production value, actual meat on the bones in terms of a content, right? You got to find that balance. Yeah.
Right. Got
it. Okay. Great. Good catching up, man. Take it easy. Catch you next time.
Right.
Let me see. Oops. Boss Hoodrat. How's it going, boss?
Doing well, Coach. How about you?
Pretty good. What's on your mind?
So I had a question. This is mostly a content question.
Sure.
So, let's say you're starting off as a writer or a novelist. You end up reading a lot of, let's say, Hunter S. Thompson and Stephen King. And then what you kind of notice is that a lot of your shitty writing turns out to be kind of an amalgamation of those two.
Yeah.
When you're starting out, what's the best way to avoid that?
Read more and deliberately try to copy other guys.
Deliberately try to copy other guys.
Yeah. Like set yourself up an exercise. You know what's great is to write porn. I'm not kidding. Okay. Porn that you will never show anyone. Okay. It's this, because porn is easy to make up. Okay. Now, what you do is you focus on writing stylistically in the style of somebody else. Okay. Pick some other writer, any other writer, and deliberately try to write that porn in that style. Okay. Or if you don't want to write porn, which is completely understandable, you could say to yourself, okay, I'm going to write, say, Little Red Riding Hood or some other, well-known tale in the style of Henry James. I'm just making something up. But see, that kind of writing exercise where you deliberately try to mimic somebody else's writing style, okay, what'll happen is that you'll, in parts, you write it, okay, write it as good as you can and then set it aside. And then in a few days or weeks later, you reread it and you'll notice that you're kind of mocking the guy. But what'll happen is that you'll come across certain aspects that you were mimicking of the other guy that you find really compelling. And you're going to experiment with that stylistic aspect. For instance, with Henry James, you'll find that those long convoluted lines, okay, those long convoluted sentences, that they can be really silly, right? But you wind up giving out a lot of information fairly quickly. And you say, well, that's kind of interesting, and try to experiment with that facet of Jamesian writing. You see what I'm saying? So yeah.
I was trying to attribute it to how you do the same thing with YouTube content. It was really what I was driving at.
Yeah, you gotta copy the people that you like, and but but use that as a starting off point. Like in my own case, I tried to copy Casey Neistat, okay, who stylistically was the YouTuber I liked the most, but I'm just not temperamentally suited for that. It's just not my thing. And when I started experimenting with multi-cameras, and you look at my really early videos, I mean, the first dozen videos or so, I had some video where I set up 10 cameras. I use the cameras on my computers. I use the cameras on some phones and shit. I put up every fucking camera I could lay my hands on just to have as many as possible and just try this multicam shit. And now I'm down to 4 cameras and I have it pretty set. See? But that experimentation, it was just spontaneous. You see what I'm saying? It was sort of like, what would happen if I shot myself, film myself with as many cameras as possible? And that's how I developed the multicam style. See? And do keep in mind, originally the multicam style was I would talk, but I would have different cameras aimed at me in different angles. But now it's developed of basically I have different cameras aimed at different angles, and I will deliver different lines to different cameras and using the cutting to give emphasis to whatever idea I have. See? So yeah, you got to experiment is the bottom line what I'm saying. You got to experiment and copy other people, especially who are radically different to you in your sensibility. Because in copying them a little bit, you'll come closer to realizing what you like. Yeah. Anything else, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good?
Sounds good.
Take it easy. My pleasure. Hey, 500-27. How's it going?
What's going on, Coach? Good. What about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Can you speak up? We can hardly hear you.
Better?
Yeah, just speak up. What's on your mind?
Yep. My question was, because I've had this issue like a lot trying to come up like way back in the day. How would you shill yourself, like shill your shit out, but without seeming too, I guess, like desperate about it? Like, hey, look at this.
No, the way I do it works for me, which is basically I just say, hey, I'm shilling my shit. This is the shit. I want you to pay attention. Please go and buy it. I just say it outright. And don't make any bones about it. There's nothing wrong with it. And the thing is, you can make a joke about it. You know, you just say, look, dude, now I am shilling. I need you fuckers to shell out money. Give me money and give me money for this, which is, you know, what'll happen is that, see, it's understandable that you're embarrassed to be shilling, but if you don't shill, nobody will shill for you. Okay, that's a key issue. See, there's nobody who's going to say, hey, you know something, 527, I like your shit so much that I'm going to go out and be your marketing department. There's no such person, man. It's you. You're the marketing department. So you just have to get over your scruples. And look, it's really important. The more successful people in life don't have any scruples about shilling themselves and talking themselves up. Okay, and it's something that a lot of guys, very capable guys, have a lot of difficulty doing. Okay, it's just a kind of personality, but you just have to do it. You just have to go out there and just shill for yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you. It's an ugly part of being a guy. Okay, it's like, look, you can be a very quiet and shy girl, and you'll find a husband. Yeah, because the guy will come up to you and try to sell himself to the girl, right? But you're a quiet, shy guy who never goes up to a girl, you're going to die a virgin. Because that's fucking life, man. It's our lot in life that we have to go out there, okay? So just accept it and just live with it, okay?
Yeah, sure should. All right.
No problem, man. Take it easy. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Hi, Coach. Hi. Thank you for having me in the stream. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
If you remember correctly, last time I was in Portland, I left my shithole city. I'm in Istanbul.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I followed your advice. My girlfriend is from Iran, and so we decided this was a great place to meet, and it's been an excellent experience. So thank you so much.
Really? You'd never met your girlfriend?
Not in person, online. Yeah, tough
Wow.
to, you know, Iran sanctions and U.S. leaving without a COVID shot. I had to get the shot, so if I turn into a crocodile in a couple days, you know what happened.
Okay. Okay. And
Yes.
how's it going meeting up with this girl?
You know, she's actually fantastic. Yeah, she's actually holding the phone light up for me right now, actually, just to get the
Let's
lighting
see her.
going.
Why don't you turn her
Oh,
around
come here,
and
come in
show
this
the
way.
audience?
Yes. Hi.
Oh, she's real.
Yes, she is real. Yeah,
Nice
believe it
to
or
meet
not.
Yeah, she's not your girlfriend from Canada. Okay.
No, sir. No, sir. Yes.
Nice to
So
meet you. Tell her it's a pleasure to meet her.
he says it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
She says it's a pleasure as well.
Very kind of her. It's very kind of her.
Yes.
So what's on your mind, man?
Yes. So look, so I just started a DeFi business. I know this is about YouTube, so I wanted to ask you a separate question. So I have dealt with the media before. You know, I do okay. You know, I'm doing financially okay, and you know, I have had to deal with, you know, some of these major media outlets, New York Times, Washington Post, and I was surprised at how dishonest they were. I mean, seriously. I mean, Coach, I'm not kidding. I mean, I could tell you stuff privately, like. I have stories that would blow your mind. Yeah, seriously.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but here's where it comes in, right? So as I'm starting my DeFi decentralized finance business, which I do have some questions for you on that, by the way. I will try to ask you at a different time. I understand YouTube, but you know, I'm going to have to deal with the media increasingly more and more. And I was wondering if you had any advice, because, you know, I know that, you know, YouTube is obviously, you know, one of the biggest media, if not the biggest media platforms in the world. What advice would you give to someone who's, you know, starting out?
Okay. See, if you have to deal with, let's define what you're talking about when you say you have to deal with the media. Do you have to deal with reporters, or do you have to get your message out? Those
reporters, YouTube personalities, and podcasters.
Okay. Well, see, reporters are the enemy. Okay.
Okay.
Podcasters are a friend.
Yes.
Okay? Because a podcaster is going to be interested in going into detail and doing the deep dive on whatever the fuck you're doing. Okay.
Yes.
So what you have to do there is you have to structure your talk on a podcast by giving like the elevator pitch right up front, then the 5-minute pitch right after that, and then the half-hour pitch after that, and the 2-hour pitch after that. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because the podcast is going to last 2 hours, right? Or 90 minutes. So yeah, the first is the elevator pitch, followed by the 5-minute pitch, then the 30-minute pitch, and then the hour-long or 2-hour-long pitch, right?
Yes.
That's how you do it, so that you cover all the bases, right? So that way, the person who turns on the podcast is you know, you start talking about whatever, and they're like, oh, he's going to talk about this, and then they either continue listening or they tune out. But you see, right away, and you hook them, because the elevator pitch, that's the whole point of it. You hook somebody, right? Okay.
Yes.
So you hook your potential audience. If you just meander, then it's going to be boring. Okay. Now, why is a journalist the enemy? Okay. The journalist is not interested in the truth. He's interested in an agenda, a narrative. Okay. And so you want to stay away from the guy. Simple as that. He's going to try to fuck you over. And he's not going to do what you want, which is to expose your business to a wide gamut of people.
Yes.
Suppose you talk to the guy from the Washington Post, right? And he characterizes you as, you know, some grifter or some shit like that. Then the entire audience of the Washington Post or New York Times is going to be against you, right? But if you're on some podcast that maybe, let's say, has 1/10 of their outreach, but it's going to be a friendly interview, well, the people that you reach through the podcast, they're going to be much more amenable. On the Washington Post, all those people are now your enemies, or think that you're shit or whatever. Whereas in the other podcast, a much smaller audience, but they're going to be on your side. So you know, the idea of talking to the press. Look, I think that the press are full of shit, and they have an agenda, and they just want to push their agenda. They want to push a narrative. They don't believe the truth. That's the key issue. They don't believe in the truth. I'm sure that there are some journalists who do. In fact, I know that there are, like Glenn Greenwald, like Matt Taibbi.
Sure. But guys with brands.
Yeah, but they are.
The problem is these no brand guys. I mean, they're, you know, these no brand guys. You work for the Washington Post or Wall Street Journal. You know, you'll do and say and take whatever in order just to get your. You know how it is. It's competitive. Yeah.
So don't. It's just, you're just going to hurt yourself for no reason. So,
yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right.
All right.
That's good advice. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, no problem. Take it easy, man.
Take care.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
I'm all right. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. What's on your mind, my man?
All right. So, man, I was remembering your video, some on how to work a room and then kind of how to voice and communicate.
Yep.
My question, because I'm a incredibly direct kind of person, don't like to do wishy-washy too often.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the case of, hey, with YouTube there's got to be more than just raw facts or something that, like the algorithm or something. You have to have a combination of different things going your way. So, more specifically, how do you communicate with other people? Like you mentioned, the Reddit, like either through that or through other means to get your message across.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking how to grow from zero. Is that what you're asking?
Yep, from zero.
Yeah. Well, each person is different. The way I did it on Reddit, that worked for me. Okay. And like I said, I started doing Reddit posts in early June, and by the 4th of July, I had 1,000 subscribers. Okay. And I got lucky. A couple of my posts really clicked with the Red Pill crowd on Reddit, but I didn't keep up the Reddit thing because it was just a lot of work. Because I mean, like doing videos and writing was just a lot of work. Okay. I mean, I could only sustain it for a little bit. Okay. But as a jumping off point, yeah, it sort of like kickstarted my channel. And after that, it just grew slowly and steadily. Okay. And to tell you the truth, I think that that was a very good thing because that slow and steady growth prepared me for when the channel really took off 15 months after I started it. And you got to keep in mind how long it takes. I was
success leads to arrogance, isn't that right?
Well, yeah, success leads to arrogance, but I mean, sudden success leads to arrogance.
That's the
yeah. But like in my own case, I was arrogant before I started the fucking YouTube channel, man. But insofar as like succeeding at it, it takes a long time. Okay. And in that initial failure, there's a great deal of freedom. And that's something that you have to appreciate. Because at first I was trying to do Casey Neistat videos and add my own shit. But as I continued to fail initially, I wasn't reaching what I wanted to achieve. As I continued to fail, I got to a point where like, fuck it, I'm going to do this and try that. And I'm going to do this like multicam shit and see how it works. I mean, the reason I started multicam is because on my editing suite, it said, you know, multicam clip. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I had to Google it to figure out what it was, right? And only then I was like, oh, wow. So you can shoot like from multiple angles and it compiles the shots and the editing so that you can switch between them, right? And that's how I started with the multicam shit. And so, but you only have that freedom when you fail, see? And so if you're doing videos initially and then they're failing and they're not working, even though you're giving it your all, then you're slowly going to realize what works for you. You see what I mean? And that's what you have to pursue.
So basically, in time, things become more clear and apparent.
Yeah. Basically.
Being young, 20 is a luxury. And I want to use as much of this time as I can so that way I don't make some of the mistakes.
Well, are you eating right? Vegetables, salad, that kind of shit?
Well, I'm getting better at it day by day, you know. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Are you losing weight and working out?
I'm working out, but I'm gaining that muscle right now, so I'm not losing that weight.
Yeah, but that's better, you know. So long as you lose the fat, you know, and gain the muscle, that's better. Okay, that's what you should be focused on. And reading as much as possible. That's what you should be focused on. Reading as many books about as much stuff as possible, especially history. That's the best thing that you can do.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Coach, and you have a wonderful day.
You too. Take it easy, man. Thanks, Michael. Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Hey, Coach, doing real good. How about yourself? You're looking well. You're looking well. I got a fast question for you. How did we?
With this lighting, man, I look like I'm an undead person, man. I have the lights way on the other side of the office, right, and the sunlight is fading. It's 9 p.m. here, so yeah, I look like the undead, you know, like. So anyway, I'm sorry, Bill. What's on your mind?
How do we get to a situation where we have a monopoly, where there's only one YouTube and they have the power to turn people off.
Oh, that was very simple.
I don't understand.
Alan Greenspan in 1964. Yeah, that's how it started. See, because look, what is true about economics, you have to understand something, is that competition is inefficient. Monopolies are efficient. Okay, because when you have competition, you have a lot of wasted energy. As like say you have like say 10 companies. Each of my fingers is a company, and they're all fighting each other, right? Well, some of them fail. A lot of them will fail. Okay. And these failures, all that energy that went into each of these companies, it's gone, it's lost, it's inefficient. Competition is inefficient, okay? But if you have just one monopoly player, it can use all of its resources to grow and expand and create new technologies. So one company is very efficient. A monopoly or a oligopoly. An oligopoly is just a few companies. Handling an entire industry. Yeah, what happens in an oligopoly is that a lot of times, in a practical sense, not a theoretical sense, in a practical sense, if there are only like a limited number of competitors, say, for instance, in this case, there are 4, right? What will happen is that instead of competing against each other, they'll sort of like fit into each other and be complementary, which is what happens like Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram. They're all complementary as opposed to actual competitors. And that way they maintain a monopoly over their respective markets. Okay. And this started in 1964 in an essay that Alan Greenspan wrote as the introduction to a book by Ayn Rand, a collection of essays where he said basically that monopolies are efficient, which is true, and that if we just make sure that they never gouge the clients, the customers, then it's okay to have monopolies. And so that's been the rule. Just so long as they're not gouging the clients, the customers, then it's okay to have monopolies. And this became the neoliberal paradigm, especially once Alan Greenspan became chairman of the Federal Reserve Board in 1987, and he exerted influence over the SEC and other government organizations, especially the antitrust. And there you go. That's why we're at this impasse.
Okay, that's news to me. That's news to me. You're way over my head. I don't have any knowledge in that.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean I hope I didn't sound like I was lording over anybody, because that's not my intention. I was just trying to explain how it happened. And it's a horrible thing. It's a fucking horrible thing. But like, there's nobody around willing to say how horrible it is and willing to stop it. And so that's why we're in the shithole that we're in. What can I say?
I don't understand why we're so limited. It seems as though should be able to go from one platform to another. Hey, you're doing this platform, you're the better one over here. Hey, I'm on, and we all seem to be limited. So
I'll tell you what it is. I've thought about this a great deal, Bill. Okay, and so it's not something that I'm like off the cuff. This is something I've thought a great deal. So I'll tell you, it seems to center on something called the Abilene paradox. Few people have heard of this. It's the Abilene paradox. Abilene, like the city, the town in Texas. Okay, and the paradox is like this. It's like, I'm there with my wife and my mother-in-law and father-in-law, right? And my father-in-law says, there's this great restaurant in Abilene, and Abilene is like a 2-hour drive on this dusty road, right? And I said, yeah, I've heard good things about this restaurant. And the mother-in-law says, yeah, we should go. And the wife says, yeah, let's go. And before you know it, we're all getting in the car to go to this restaurant in Abilene. And see, I don't really want to go. And see, if I could read my wife's mind and my mother-in-law's mind and my father-in-law's mind, I'd realize that they don't want to go either. But they all assumed that I wanted to go. They all assumed that everybody else wanted to go. So we all go. And it's 2 hours, and we get to the fucking restaurant, and it's a shit restaurant, and it's 2-hour drive on a dusty road, an hour at this crappy restaurant, and we all get the shits later, and then another 2 hours driving back, and it's fucking misery. And we finally get home after having had to stop in a bunch of gas stations because we all had the shits because of the crappy food, right? And we get home and we open the door and we're all tired. And it's been like 6 hours for this horrible, horrible dinner. And I say, I really wish we hadn't gone. I didn't really want to go. And my wife says, neither did I. And the father-in-law says, I thought you wanted to go. See, that's the Abilene paradox. Okay.
Okay.
And it's a problem in philosophy, by the way. And it's a very serious problem. And it's basically what's happening in not just the monopoly stuff of the what should we call it, the of companies, but also, for instance, immigration. They poll people in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Europe, and 70% want a limitation on immigration. 70%, 70. Okay, that is the clearly a vast majority. It's more than 2/3. They want heavy limitations on immigration, but everybody assumes that everybody else is in favor of it. See, that's what's going on.
Okay.
And certain people who benefit from these monopolies, from this immigration, from all these problems that we have, they make sure to push the narrative that everybody wants it, even though nobody wants it. See?
Yeah, and that's amazing. That's amazing because
Yeah, actually, I'm going to be doing a video about this precise topic that I'll be releasing soon enough. Yeah.
a minority opinion, and everybody, the media pushes it as a majority opinion, and it's like, really? Where? I mean, outside the East Coast and the West Coast, where?
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it, but they push it, and they're successful too because everybody is too polite. That's the problem.
They're rich. They're rich. They've got they own the media, so they can.
No. It's not that they're rich. What happens is that, see, the people are too rich, and they figure, oh, I'm not going to fight this. See, and they're like, okay, I don't want it, and I don't think many people want it, but I'm not going to fight it. Okay, they're comfortable. They're comfortable. The people are comfortable. See, comfort kills. You got to keep in mind, comfort kills. Huh? You probably, I mean, you're an older guy like me, and so let me ask you something. What were the best times of your life? When you were broke and scared shitless and didn't know where you're going to sleep that night, right? When you were working like a fucking animal and figuring that you weren't going to have a pot to piss in next week, right? That was probably the best times of your life, retrospectively.
Okay, I'm not going to argue. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I can speak from my own experience, yeah? I mean, there was some times in my life that were really, really fucking horrible, and I think back on them and I was like, man, that was the time I felt most alive, when things were really rough, okay? I felt alive, and it was like the period of time where I grew the most and learned the most about myself and the world, right? But those periods are really hard, and people don't want to experience those rough times. They want easy times. And paradoxically, by wanting those easy times, they create a misery for everybody, including themselves. So that's where we're at. It's sad to say, but too much comfort. That's the problem.
Okay, real good. Hey, good talking to you.
Hey, great talking to you, man. Anything else on your mind?
No, yeah, quite a lot. But hey, good luck on your Russian trip. When are you going to take that? Soon?
Soon, yes, soon. I keep postponing it for various, very necessary reasons, but very soon, yeah, because I really want to go to Moscow and St. Petersburg. But,
watch out for those roads. Those roads are real hard, huh?
Oh, you've been there?
No. And I see the videos. I see the videos are amazing.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to go. And I'll be posting videos about it and the whole thing. I am thinking actually of like starting a channel of videos of this kind of trip, of this kind of traveling. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway,
Okay,
Bill,
good.
Okay.
Bon voyage. Have a good one.
Take it easy, man. Rahul, how's it going? You there?
Hi, Coach. How you doing? Doing well yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. What's on your mind, man?
So, yeah, I mean, thanks for the presentation. I found it very informative. Makes me want to start my YouTube channel. So I was just hoping, I know you've got a background in filming. I mean, what's the best way to learn editing? Any sort of software you'd recommend?
Do it. Yeah. The best software to learn is what's it called? I was about to say GarageBand, but that's the basic music writing software. On Apple, there are two kinds of editing software. There's a Final Cut Pro, which is the expensive one. It costs like $300. But there is the basic editing software on the Macintosh that I think it comes standard in the Macintosh, or you can download it for free. Okay, it's just a very simple, basic editing software that is in its shape identical to Final Cut Pro, which is the professional version. And so you can learn off of this basic editing software. What's the name of the basic Apple film editing software? What's the name of that shit? is the iMovie. That's it. The iMovie.
iMovie, okay.
Yeah, you get the iMovie and you practice on that. And what you do is just shoot like a lot of different material, just with a GoPro, with your telephone, with whatever you have handy. Just shoot a lot of material of yourself talking, other people talking, of the street or whatever. And on your phone, phones are so sophisticated now that you can do like slow motion, you can do time lapse, you can do all sorts of stuff, and just shoot as much as possible, and then load up all that crap onto iMovie and just play around with it and just try to come up with a coherent story that way. And it'll take a long time. It'll be really, really frustrating. I mean, look, this kind of shit, it takes a long time to do it. I've told you before that my videos now, I've got them down to a science, right? But it took 4 fucking years. Okay. I mean, you got to understand that this kind of process takes a long time to get good at. Okay. So you can't be discouraged after the first day. I mean, you get discouraged after like 6 months. Okay. I mean, you got to keep in mind, like in my own case, I was getting discouraged after about 15 months. I was thinking, man, I'm not really making the progress I want. Maybe I should wind this down. 15 months. Okay. You got to stick with it. And the guys who succeed at YouTube, they're the guys who have that kind of weird, almost obsessive stick with itness. They're the guys who last. They're the guys who go the distance.
Yeah, I found that in poker because I play that a lot, and when you stick to it over the long term, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah, no, if you stick to anything, anything long enough, you'll get there. Okay, so most people give up. That's the bottom line. Most people they can't stomach it, they can't take it, and they decide enough, and that's where they lose. See, it's like, look, this guy Rich Cooper. I was talking to him one time. A great fella, nice man. And we were talking one time, and we were talking about chasing girls, right? And he said that there's this great metaphor that there's a 10-foot ditch, right? And you want to jump over it. Okay, so the first time you get a pole, right, and you try to jump over the ditch, and you only jump 6 feet, and so you land in the water in the ditch, right? And then you keep on practicing and practicing and practicing, and you up your number from 6 feet to 9 feet to 9 feet 10 inches, right? You're almost there to 9 feet 11 inches. And right when you're almost there, you give up. You'd be like, dude, that's absurd, right? But so many guys do that. They put in all the work and they keep on working, and it's just that little extra bit, see? And they don't even realize that they're improving until they get to that last little bit, and then they get to the other side, and then they won. Because we were talking about how with girls, right, in game and learning to pick up girls, it's sort of like a process of a little bit at a time, and you're constantly improving, but you still keep on failing. You keep on failing and failing and failing until finally you succeed, right? And after that, once you succeeded the first time, it's consistent success. Okay, but I've noticed that most of life is like that. That you're failing and failing and failing, and then you succeed. And then once you've succeeded one time, it just becomes like a self-reinforcing cycle. You have to think of it in those terms. Yeah,
it's like striking oil, isn't it? Nothing happens. When you hit oil, you've
yeah, exactly.
Can I ask you about? So do you have a script or something for your other videos? Do you have like a script or just free flow? I mean, how do you?
No, I have a fairly good idea of what I'm going to say, but not like a written out script. I tried it a couple of times. I think that some of my early videos, I actually did do like a finished script, but it was just so fucking uncomfortable and unpleasant. It was just, and also what happens is that, see, the written word and the spoken word are so different that it's night and day, and it just seems weird. There's this really great movie, Broadcast News. Yeah. That's an example of it, where Albert Brooks, who's a TV newscaster, he's a brilliant writer, and he writes this brilliant script for an episode of the show, and he reads it, and he just sounds weird because it doesn't seem natural. It's lovely language on the page, and other characters say, "Man, this reads beautifully." Yeah, it reads beautifully, but when you say it, it sounds horrible. So now what I do is I have like some bullet points, like basically the points I want to hit. And then I just sort of like free flow each of the points and also I imagine to myself that I'm speaking to somebody specifically, and that makes it much better because it makes me speak in a way that I sound more interesting because ultimately, you know, when you're doing a video, you have to sound interesting. You have to sound entertaining. You are entertaining people. Okay. Ultimately, that's what you're doing. So you have to have that. You have to consider that in the equation. Okay. It's not just enough to hit your points. You have to be entertaining people. You have to be entertaining them one way or the other. And yeah, that's basically it.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Anything else in your mind, man?
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, and see you again next week. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, next week, man. Take it easy.
Thanks.
And RM, I can't bring you on because it says your devices are not connected. Oh, wait. RM, there you go. RM, and this is a final questioner tonight. RM, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. What's on your mind?
So I realized I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but so I caught up from the almost close to the end of the presentation. So if I'm repeating some points, you just ignore me. So about scripting, just the points we talked about just right now, I'm asking for the purpose of presentations and lectures. Do you also suggest the same thing, not having a script and just free-flowing it, or practicing it a couple of times before the presentation?
Each person is different. And in any kind of structured presentation, if you're not sure, you should practice in an empty room. That works for me. When you're not sure, yeah, practice it in an empty room, or practice it in front of a friend or somebody who's not a girlfriend, not somebody that there's any kind of sexual tension.
Okay.
You know, because you want to be focused on the presentation. And it has to be a good friend that doesn't envy you, or you don't envy him, or anything like that. It has to be like a total friend that you trust completely, or else by yourself. And even if you do it with somebody else, you should videotape yourself and watch the tape later, because a lot of times that's the best way to fine-tune your performance. And I mean, like with my own videos, I've watched myself so many times that I've already adjusted my performance so that I never do things that I personally don't like. There are certain things that I do, like, for instance, I say right, I will make a statement and ask the question right, which annoys some people. It even annoys me a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. There are other things that I used to do that I no longer do because I watched myself. By observing myself, I corrected them and made sure never to repeat them again. And that's why I recommend that you videotape yourself and watch the performance later. A lot of times it's going to be very, very difficult because you're going to cringe like all get out, because you're going to say, ew, I don't like that.
Yeah,
it's just natural. Okay. But you have to do it in order to improve yourself. That's the only way to improve yourself.
I have recorded myself, but haven't get into just watching those videos. I have the videos, but I just don't watch them.
You have to, because that's the only way that you're going to identify the things that you don't like and eliminate them. And you have to do that. You absolutely have to. Because what will happen is that you yourself are going to focus in on the things that anybody else would focus in on and think are negative. Okay? And so you have to do that. It's a very difficult process. Nobody's saying it's easy. But see, self-improvement is never easy. It's always hard, always, because you are changing a way that has become comfortable for you. But the problem is that you're changing it because even though it's become comfortable, it's not good for you long term. It's not good for you to achieve the things that you want. And that's why you have to change them. And that's always difficult. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's it.
No problem, man. Take it easy. I'll catch you next week, man. I hope.
See you.
Take care. Okay, boys and girls, this has been the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that, how can I put it? I wasn't really sure if I was going to give this presentation. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I wasn't going to have enough material. But Jesus Christ, we went 3.5 hours on this shit. And yeah, I hope I gave you some insight to the whole YouTube thing. I think it's a very interesting business. I really, really like it. Obviously I like it, or else I wouldn't be doing it anymore. I'd be doing something else. But yeah. There's something else I wanted to mention, by the way. You know, I've made up my mind that I'm going to I'm expanding the book on morality I told you about. Remember I did that webinar about ethics, about morality that I went, you know, when was it? March, I think I did it. I've been writing it as a book. and I've made up my mind that I'm going to release it for free to everybody. Okay. I've made up my mind that insofar as, because some of you might know that I've been involved in a very tedious legal process with my former publisher, who claims that I owe them a book. And because of that, I haven't been able to put out Wilshire Boulevard. And I've made up my mind that what I'm going to do is I'm going to release my work for free as PDFs. And yeah, because I prefer not to make any money from my books, but people read it and enjoy it, as opposed to having all this tedious legal shit. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up this ethics book. I'm going to figure out how to put out Wilshire Boulevard, irrespective of my former publisher, because I'm going to see, I have to talk to my lawyers, but I'm going to see if, if I just simply release it for free, is that considered publishing it? I don't know. So, but I'll figure it out. But that's what I'm going to be doing, because, it would be great to make like a lot of money off of my writing. And I've always thought to myself that, you shouldn't be writing unless you're going to make money off of it, right? But I don't know, especially with the ethics book. I don't want people to not read it just based on the fact that you have to pay money for it. Perhaps I'll change my mind insofar as the fiction is concerned, but the nonfiction, I think I'm just going to release it for free. Because there's the ethics book and there's the Edging the Beta book that I've been developing, and yeah, and I prefer not to make any money and get the message spread out to more people than to earn money, a little bit of money, and have the book reach fewer people. Yeah, I'm talking about the nonfiction books. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, because it's been a little bit of a confusing time for me as of late on a personal level. Okay. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but, I've talked a little bit about it here and there in other videos here on Patreon. That, my life is just, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, the point is that, yeah, I want to finish these books and have them out there and not be worried that they don't reach as wide an audience as possible because of, just having to pay a little bit of money for the fucking things. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So anyway, that's all. I'll catch you next Sunday, hopefully.